Un momento. What does the thumbnail even say? Oh, writing and watching stuff. Pretty much, yeah. That's accurate. Juicy Reacts is going to be like an hour long. It's going to be a long one. And I've got 37 out of 58 minutes edited. So I've got 20 minutes left, which is about editing 20 minutes. Takes probably an hour. Hopefully I can get all of that done today. Let's listen to a song, and then we're gonna watch Fabian, Liberty, and Pentuple debate the topic that I'm debating with Fabian Liberty about. So we should get all the information we need from watching that debate. See all his arguments. Right now I'm just taking notes. I've got a bunch of notes for arguments that he's probably going to make, or possible arguments he could make. But I don't have anything yet for what I'm going to be arguing. So I need to strategize. I don't think I'm going to do the idea web, which I usually do. I think I'm going to have to figure out a different format. YouTube tells me you're one of my top channels of the year, so I'm scheduling my therapy session immediately. You don't need therapy. I'm your therapist now. I'm your therapist. Brand new Tyson James song came out. Well, it's 6 days old now, but
Christian rapper, y'all look glitz and glamour. I don't mix with actors, y'all will miss the rapture. How you breaking bread with the devil? You in bed with the rebel? But you say you Christian, tripping, milk boys, y'all better get on my level. Look, what we even talking about? You act a fool, and I gotta call it out. Wouldn't have to do it if y'all would just walk it out. Seem like you care more about what's in your pocket now. You making your bed, now you sleeping it. So to the world, one day you'll be reaping it. You should be set apart, but you deep in it. You ain't gon' die to that flesh cause you feeding it. I know, you love the fame, you love the likes, you love the streams, ain't getting no strikes. To that devil you harmless, ain't calling now sin cause you mix with the darkness. We battle demons, you are collabing with Legion, now you off the meter. Jesus got pinned to the cross for your sin, and you selling out for a feature, sucker. Look, this is a warning for people who think they could dabble with sin. Don't do what they do, they are evil, these rappers are fragile within. Look, I'm not afraid to put gloves on and battle or rattle your chin. But I did not come to bring peace, but divide, let the battle begin. I don't mix with actors, these boys in it for the glitz and glamour. I don't wanna collab, there's a list of factors. Y'all milk boys, y'all ain't even Christian rappers. Christian rappers, y'all ain't even Christian rappers. What happened, you missed the chapter? Y'all milk boys, y'all ain't even Christian rappers. Listen, don't invite me to the dubs, don't invite me to the Grammys. Don't really need your fake love, I'd rather stay home with my family. I don't need a cosign, God been providing the whole time. Forget that red carpet below me, you know me, my trophy's that goal line. D1, why you collabing with Satan? I thought you were part of the bride. Receiving correction is hard when you guarding your heart full of pride. Jesus didn't come to bring peace, you won't even spark the divide. You call it art, I call it selling your soul, and you gon' take that mark to survive. It's a shame, y'all can't be real, y'all can't be biblical, y'all signed a deal with the devil. Y'all don't know nothing about being hated by the world, homie, you cannot be on my level. Y'all probably smoking that weed, thinking you sowing the seed, but that's treason. You take communion with God, but it's a facade, cause then you make money with
Jalen, did you see Juicy Reacts yet? Have you met my Uncle Juicy? You would love my Uncle Juicy. He black. You would like him. Have you seen my Uncle Juicy yet?
demons. Look, don't ever say I didn't warn you, cause I kept it real from the jump. I stood my ground, even when they hated me cause of Trump. If y'all could just see in the spirit, y'all looking like gay little runts. Y'all can't even bust a grape, you slave. Y'all never cave like you punks. I don't mix with actors. These boys in it for the glitz and glamour. I don't wanna collab, there's a list of factors. Y'all milk boys, y'all ain't even Christian rappers. Christian rappers. Y'all ain't even Christian rappers. What happened? You missed the chapter? Y'all milk boys, y'all ain't even Christian rappers.
I'll give you guys a sneak preview. This was cracking me up so much. Okay, we're at 37. I gotta find it though. Dude, I was making myself laugh so hard. I like the way this Nick guy rolls. No, it's way back here.
Kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing up.
Is this it? By the way, they looking for me though. I probably should. They're gonna talk about more than just black. You know, but I keep the mask on. They don't know how old I am. You hear me? Where did I sit? And they hate me. Good. I want you to go to the other side of the street when you see Juice coming. Yeah? I can't find it, but I don't remember what it should be after this clip when he tells women to okay, here it is. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Here's a sneak preview. This is one of my favorite parts.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise.
Hold on. First off, okay, I do not run society. I'm trying to get there. One day I'm going to be King Juice. But Juice is not running society. Okay? That would probably not work out too well for society. You hear me? Second off, women do need to shut the fuck up sometime. That's why I like the ones that don't talk much, but they got a big old fat ass. You hear me? Third off, blacks, I've been locked up, you know? I'm supposed to be locked up. They got warrants on me. They looking. You know, I got away. They looking for me, though. I probably should be locked up. Yeah? I don't mind. You know, I get to read some books. See Spot Run. Spot Run fast. Run, Spot, run. And get that ass. I remixed a book I read in the library from the pen last time I was locked up. Yeah? Okay, that's why you get. Women do need to shut the fuck up. That's why I like the quiet ones with a big old fat ass. I'm heading out. I unblocked you on Facebook, so Merry Christmas.
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside.
Did nothing nice. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for unblocking me. Wow. Great. That's the best Christmas gift I'm probably going to get all year. Women should shut the fuck up. That's why I like the quiet ones with a big old fat ass. Okay. Where are we gonna? Oh yeah, I gotta find this debate. It's on. Wait, is it this one?
Tell me about a video I gotta watch on my.
We watched some of this. Well, we watched the question I was asking. I got a little hype. I was drinking. I got a little hypey with him. Don't tell me about a video I gotta watch. I'm asking you. All right, so this is them debating the topic that we're going to be debating. So we're going to watch this.
Third debate of the. I count. I went to school. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we got for our third debate of the night. We got Fabian Liberty versus Pentuple, and we're going to be arguing over whether or not Trump is socialist. I think the exact question is Trump the biggest socialist president of our lifetime? I guess we're assuming our lifetime here at the table, not your grandma who survived FDR. So we're going to see who's the most socialist. I want to clarify that before we begin because I know we have some viewers that are older than fun. Anyway, moving forward. Who is going to be taking the affirmative? Who's the most socialist? That would be you, be the affirmative. Yes. So I'm going to give you 7 minute over, and then you'll go after that. I guess Grid will know this. We're going to do the same thing as last time. At the end, I think we'll do 5 to 10 minute closings. You'll have an hour and a half, and then we're going to do the closings, and then we will have audience questions. So that is the setup. Any questions for me, guys?
Now, how can they pay?
That is the most important question. Is you pay Grid? However, he's got it set up on his channel. And you get the links. They didn't give you this information, but y'all have all been here before. So give him money, please. Money now, give it to him. He spent a lot of money setting this up, and it's a good event. We are real excited about it. DebateCon tickets, by the way, guys, if you didn't know, are fucking pricey. I fucking spent a grip to go, and I missed the whole first day. So I'm just saying, you guys need to spend money on Grid right now.
He said he spent a grip to go, and he missed the whole first day. This happened before the first day. What's he talking about?
Because he has offered up a debate
Or maybe he means last year.
on quality event minus my terrible bullshit. And that's been fantastic overall. It's only going to get better.
I'm
So
doing
make sure
good
you
on
give
it.
them your money. This studio wasn't cheap. It's nice. They got motorcycles more expensive than most y'all's shitty ass rent control apartments in California. But anyway,
Whoa, I was like, what just happened? Who's talking to me? They fixed the audio. Better Nate than Lever.
let's go on and get to the debate. Here we go. Fabian, kick us off. You have time starting whenever you start talking.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Grid, for the event.
All
Thank
right.
you, the
I'm
viewers.
just gonna
that
be
are
writing
watching.
and
It's been
listening.
a fun experience.
I'm probably not going to commentary much. I'm going to be listening and writing, but I might pause it if we'll see. But I want to hear his opening for this debate, which hopefully he doesn't just recycle the same opening. Maybe he will because, you know, this one, Pentuple didn't have a lot of prep time for this. Maybe he just maybe it's a prepared opening and he just used the same one. He's not reading anything, so it seems freestyle. So it'll probably be slightly different, but I'm going to assume he's only got a handful of arguments to make this point. And I've got all of Pacman's arguments, all of MSNBC's arguments, and all of kind of the Young Turks arguments, even though Jank agreed with me. But we're going to be looking, the keys that I think he's going to hit on are going to be the tariffs, the COVID bill, the $2.2 million COVID bill, getting involved with companies like TikTok, getting involved with farms, threatening to get involved with Harley Davidson, getting involved in the propping up the coal industry, and a raise in the deficit, as well as Government gold share, I wrote down. I have to look into that. The CHIPS Act is going to be, CHIPS Act is a big one now, especially with the Intel deal. But I don't think he's going to want to make that argument. But essentially, it's going to be tariffs, deficit, COVID relief money, and getting involved in private companies.
Some of this we kind of just threw together, and we're gonna have a blast, man. So let me get started on my opening statement. In 1934, just 1 year before.
Oh, is he reading? Is he reading off his phone?
Was some of this we kind of just.
Oh no, he's got a notepad on the table in front of him. He's reading, so he is reading.
Threw together, and we're gonna have a blast, man. So let me get started on my opening statement. In 1934, just 1 year before America's greatest economic failure, the Social Security Act, America was in a socialist-caused economic crisis. When it comes to home ownership, one might call it an affordability crisis. But our great president,
Depression.
FDR, had another one of his great socialist ideas. Instead of allowing malinvestments to fail, reducing tariffs to stimulate.
We all know, oh my God, we all know damn FDR was a socialist. The Great Depression, what did he do to pull us out of the Great Depression? Oh, he ended prohibition. What else did he do? Let's find out. He stimulated the economy. That's socialist.
Stimulate trade or trying to curtail inflation, as had worked for decades previously, FDR established the 30-year mortgage and FHA. FDR decided to destroy the concept of savings and subsidize long-term debt. The banks could now lend, in part, from government-backed risk.
Oh, scarlet flame, blaze bright!
What was that called? The 40-year mortgage and what? Hold on.
Subsidize long-term debt. FDR decided to destroy the concept of savings and subsidize long-term debt. The banks could now lend, in part, from government-backed risk. As well as laying the foundations for economic busts, asset inflation, record bank profits, weakened savings, weakened underwriting, destruction of sound mortgages, fixed inflation of the U.S. economy, and the creation of real estate investment to create a permanent rentier class. Donald Trump is watching the disaster of FDR continuously unfold in front of him. And what's his response? To proclaim FDR as one of the greatest presidents and suggest that he can fix the economy with tariffs and a 50-year mortgage. The 50-year mortgage is just a perfect example of Trump's brazen socialist attitude to the U.S. economy. Trump doesn't just idolize socialists, though.
Hold on. So Trump called FDR one of the greatest presidents. When was this? Dude, Trump just talks. He talks constantly. FDR, one of our greatest presidents. Dude, Trump call FDR one of the greatest presidents. Donald Trump has not explicitly called FDR one of the greatest presidents, but he has frequently praised him as an amazing man and highly respected figure. Trump also often draws comparisons between his own political impact and that of Roosevelt. Electoral success. Trump expressed admiration for Roosevelt's record as a four-termer. I mean, I see that. I see why Trump likes that. Political dominance. He has suggested that he is forging a new political majority that is shattering and replacing Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal coalition, which he noted dominated American politics. So he admires his power in the way he took over, but he's saying he's going to do the opposite of the New Deal. Leadership qualities. In a speech to the National Rifle Association, Trump described FDR as having a beautiful patrician voice and being a magnificent voice, great debater, and very smart man. None of this. So he never called FDR one of the greatest presidents ever. So that's not true. Wrong. Comparisons to his own record. As early as 2017, Trump mentioned FDR as one of the few presidents whose legislative record might be comparable to his own, acknowledging that in the case of FDR, he had a major depression to handle. Trump had COVID to handle, which is going to be one of my rebuttals if he brings up the COVID relief, the $2.2 trillion COVID relief package. Now, as far as mortgages and stuff like that, I don't know anything about that. I live in a dang apartment. I don't know nothing about buying a house. So
he governs as one, albeit with a veneer of nationalism. Trump's agenda has been the most anti-capitalist and fiscally liberal of any recent president. Trump is imposing blanket tariffs sold with lies as a mean to secure better trade deals, when in reality, the only rhyme and reason is enrichment of donors and empty, maniacal rhetoric. A 107% tariff on Italian pasta. Socialist, though, he governs as one, albeit with a veneer of nationalism. Trump's agenda has been the most anti-capitalist and fiscally liberal of any recent president. Trump is imposing blanket tariffs sold with lies as a mean to secure better trade deals, when in reality, the only rhyme and reason is enrichment of donors and empty, maniacal rhetoric. A 107% tariff on Italian pasta helps no one in America, except maybe the North American Millers.
Yeah, it helps American pasta makers
Association and 8th Avenue Food and Provisions, also known as Treehouse Foods, who produce bleached, folic acid enriched, and glyphosate infused pasta too unhealthy to be legal in Europe. But it's not enough that Trump is taxing Americans to death or idolizes socialists. So let's name just a few more. Steel tariffs, farm subsidies in 2017 from $4 billion to in 2020, $32 billion.
Told you the farm subsidies would be one. Steel tariffs. Farm subsidies, I already wrote that. I already said that he would bring that up. He's probably going to mention the CHIPS Act. Not a good argument. Farm subsidies.
COVID stimulus worth $5.
COVID stimulus, I said that. So far, nothing I wasn't... So basically, he's just repeating David Pakman talking points from 5 years ago so far.
$5 trillion PPP loans that were oh so popular. Operation Warp Speed, the greatest vaccine, guys.
I don't know what that has to do with socialism. When this happened, well, wait, when did I start streaming? Did I start streaming before COVID started? No. I don't think. When did I start my show? Anyway, I talked about this on Facebook, and I've talked about it on YouTube. Here's a little story, a little anecdote for you. I knew a guy, and this is an anecdote, but this is how a lot of people felt at the time, right? Especially when we live in this over-medicated, hypochondriac, everybody's afraid. Everybody's got to go to the doctor 6 times a week. Everybody's on 8 different types of medication. Everybody needs their health insurance. Everybody's hyper involved in the medicinal industrial complex. Anyway, so I knew a guy that I used to go to card tournaments, Dragon Ball tournaments, and I would see him every week. And when COVID was starting, at first we were all laughing and joking about it. He's like, I just ordered some packs of cards from China, and I hope they don't have COVID on them. Like, we laughed about it. But then as it started to get bad and people stopped showing up to the tournaments, and then eventually they closed the card shop. But the last time I talked to him, COVID was getting real bad. Quote unquote, real bad. which means people were really scared of nothing. But he said stuff's getting crazy and it's going to be really bad. And I was like, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. You know, I was like, I mean, I don't really care. It's not going to affect me. And he's like, no, everything's closing down. They're telling us not to leave our houses. And he said the media is saying, because he's getting all this from the news. He said the media is saying this isn't going to end for 2 years. And I was like, why? Why do you say that? He said it's not going to end until we get a vaccine. We're going to be locked in our house. We're not going to be able to work. We're not going to be able to leave. We're not going to be able to eat food. People are going to die because we can't leave and we can't go out in the world. And the only way that we can save America is if we get a vaccine. And the media says we're not going to have a vaccine for at least 2 years, probably longer. He said, so it's going to, until we get a vaccine, America is going to crumble. What are we going to do? Like, he's freaking out. He's like, people are going to die. We need a vaccine immediately, but there's no way we're going to have a vaccine for another 2 or 3 years. And I was like, dude, Trump will have us a vaccine by November. This is what I said to him, my exact words. I said, and at the time, it was 6 months before November. So whatever month that is, what, June, July, August, September, October, November. It was May. It was like May. I said, dude, we'll have a vaccine by November. He said, no. They can't possibly make a vaccine for 2 to 3 years. I said, watch. Trump will have a vaccine by November. And then you guys can stop crying about it. You can go get your little shot and you can go back to work. It'll be fine. It's not a big deal. I was wrong. The vaccine didn't come till December. I was a month off. I was 1 month off with my prediction. Why? How did they get well, what was Trump all about? Trump was about cutting red tape. Trump, he said a long time ago, one of his biggest achievements was freedom to try. And what that is that if there's some new like medical advancement that comes out that like they're like, oh, we think we can cure cancer with this thing, then you have the freedom to try that to save your life, even if it's dangerous, even if it's not tested, even if it's risky. You know, if it hasn't gone through all the red tape and it hasn't been cleared by the is it the FDA or whatever the governing body of medicines is, even if it hasn't gone through all that stuff, if you're dying and there's some new medical advancement, but it's not fully cleared yet, you have the freedom to try that to possibly save your life, or it might kill you. And Trump was all about that. That's capitalism, advancing medicines, cures for things, stuff like that, and the freedom to try those, even if we haven't gone through all the red tape, because Trump doesn't like red tape. I don't like red tape. I don't like all the regulations and I don't like all that stuff either. So it made perfect sense that Trump would rush through a vaccine, even if it's dangerous. And the people would have the freedom to try it if they want to try it. Even if he says, hey, we're doing Operation Warp Speed, we're going to get you a vaccine as soon as possible. And then all the doctors say, well, we haven't completely fully tested this. We haven't had time to. We haven't even had time to fully examine the virus. We don't even know what it really is, but we think this will stop it. So they push forward with this vaccine and they get it out to people 7 months after COVID starts. Not November. I was a month off. They get it out in December. Operation Warp Speed. They get a vaccine out. Trump does not mandate that anybody take this vaccine. Trump just cut the red tape so that we could get something out to the people as soon as possible. Now, if you're smart, like me, you said, I ain't fucking taking that thing. Hell no. I ain't taking that. But if you're a dumbass who's afraid of the sniffles and you're going to be locked in your house until you die because you're afraid to go to the grocery store and you're afraid to go to work, we need to get the country running again. We need to get people going back to work. We need to get people going out shopping. We need to open the businesses. We need people in their jobs. And guess what? A lot of those people who are afraid to go to work, they're Democrats. And all they want is a vaccine to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel safe, to make them feel good. And Trump did that for them. And this is why I don't care how they actually, I even said this before. I said he might have been playing 4D chess and he put this thing out knowing that it was dangerous, also knowing that the only people who are going to take it are dumbass Democrats. so it might have been like an elimination plan, like, yeah, we'll get it out to them really quick. It'll make them happy. They'll feel good about themselves. And in 5 years, maybe they drop dead of a heart attack. Who knows? But that is the justification. And I've tried because Trump lost a lot of MAGA with Operation Warp Speed. And I tried to explain to them it wasn't for you. He didn't force you to take it. I didn't take it. I'm never taking a COVID test. I don't even know. How would I even know if I got COVID? I don't even know how people know if they got COVID. What do you get the sniffles and you go to the doctor's office? What are you, crazy? What's wrong with you? You get the sniffles, you take a day off work, you drink some soup and some orange juice and you lay in bed. You don't go to the hospital and get a freaking thing lobotomized up your nostril and scrambled your brain around a little bit to figure out that you have, a certain type of the sniffles. Shut up. Get out of here with that. The vaccine and Operation Warp Speed was not for people like me. It was for the people who are afraid to leave their house if they get the sniffles. That's who it was for. And if those people want to take an experimental new drug, and that's the only way that they're going to go back to work, good riddance. Take it. I don't care. So anyway, Operation Warp Speed, that was all a rant about Operation Warp Speed. I've done that rant a bunch of times. But what the hell does Operation Warp Speed have to do with socialism? In fact, quite the opposite. It's capitalism at its best. The medical industrial complex, Pfizer, running ads on everything. How much money do you think they made off of that? That was not socialism. That's capitalism. That's the ultimate capitalism. That's no red tape, no safety precautions. People want a vaccine? Make them something now, right now. And then we're going to make money off of it. And we're going to get people to go back to work because now they feel good. Now they feel like they're safe. Some people job forced them to take it. Well, they should have quit their job. What, you took an experimental drug for your $50,000 a year job at freaking UPS? What the hell's wrong with you? They should have quit their job and found a new job. That's their fault. That's also capitalism too. Their job has the right to require that, and they have the right to quit their job and go find another job. So that's my point is, that's not, how does Operation Warp Speed socialism? So he says Operation Warp Speed as one of his arguments. Dumb. I'm just going to write dumb argument.
CHIPS Act, 10% nationalization of Intel and other companies, export taxes specifically on AMD and NVIDIA.
CHIPS Act, bad argument. We talked about this the other night, and I've got all that written down. CHIPS Act, bad argument. Warp Speed, bad argument. What do we got? What do we got left? Tariffs and COVID stimulus. COVID stimulus. I'm not even going to really engage with that one. I'm just going to brush it off and say, yeah, COVID was crazy. A lot of crazy stuff happened. The stimulus problem, yes. Obama did auto industry bailouts. Anyway, well, I'm not going to get into my counter argument on here, but I'm basically going to be, I don't know how I'm going to write the opening, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to defend Trump on all of the easiest arguments to defend him on, like what I'm saying right now. Then I'm going to say, hey, I'm the negative. I don't have to offer a counter to your claim. He says Trump is the most socialist president in the last 33 years. I don't have to offer a counter. I just have to say, no, he's not, and pick apart why he says he is and destroy that, which I can do that. We're doing it right now. But I don't like to play the negative in a debate defensively. I like to be offensive. I like to, even if I'm the negative, I'm still going to give you arguments for my side. I'm going to give you if he says Trump is the most socialist, instead of just picking apart that and saying, nope, that's not socialist. Nope, that's not socialist. Nope, that's not socialist. Or so-and-so did more socialist, or so-and-so did that more socialist. I'm going to give a counter, and I'm going to say Trump is not the most socialist president. Obama is by far leagues more socialist than Trump. They're not even in the same category. And then I'm going to explain why Obama. So I'm going to turn the tables of the debate. He says Trump is the most socialist president in the last 33 years. I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to take over, and I'm going to be the aggressor, and I'm going to say, no, Obama was the most socialist president in the past 33 years. Are you crazy? Saw you debating Epstein. Good topic. Yeah. Yeah. I talked about that because that was planned. That was supposed to happen like more than a week ago, but it got delayed. And so in the lead up to it, I had been telling everybody, I was like, I got a crazy argument, but if I do it, I'm probably going to lose the debate. But I did see the poll. The last time I saw the poll, I was winning. I had, so I think I won the poll anyway, even though most people disagreed with me, but I still won the poll. So I still won the debate. But the whole thing about the girls living their best life, that's kind of like some rage bait. I kind of just threw that out there as rage bait. That's not even my craziest Epstein theory. I've only talked about my craziest Epstein theory in Discord privately. Because if I even say it, people will. Maybe I'll give it to you. Okay. I'm not going to go into details with this. I'm not going to explain the whole theory to you. And this is just a theory. This is just headcanon, conspiracy brain, theory crafting, coming up with crazy stuff. But I could make a strong argument. And I know what I'm talking about. I've done all the research. I've read through the files. I've read through the emails. I've read through the flight logs. I've watched documentaries. I haven't read like the full books from Michael Wolff or Virginia Giuffre. But I've read quite a bit, and I've been studying this like deep for years now. I could make a pretty convincing argument that Epstein was actually a good guy. Don't worry about it. It's just, I'm just clowning. I'm just funning y'all, okay? Of course he was a bad, evil, wicked, bad, dirty, bad, gross, bad guy. But there's an argument to be made that he was actually like 007. He was actually like a global spy. Wait, what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. It's just a crazy thought that I had one day. And then when I have these crazy thoughts, I tend to sit there for a couple hours and like put it all together. And yeah, anyway. I'm just joking. Epstein's a bad guy. I know Epstein's a bad guy. I know he's the bad guy, okay? I'm just saying. He did broker multiple peace deals with foreign countries that he used his influence to bring global peace. He was tied in with multiple spy agencies. He was keeping track of all these evil pedophiles. He was monitoring them, keeping tabs on them, and then using his knowledge to broker peace deals in foreign countries. And it's very possible, Jouffre is a French name, right? It's very possible those girls, some of them were also of legal age in other countries, and they are CIA or Mossad or CIA or KGB or MI6 assets as well, that they were also spies. Don't worry about it. I've told you I'm not going to go into it. I don't know why I'm going to it. What peace deal? Multiple. One with Mongolia, one with Syria and Russia, a peace deal between Syria and Russia. And then there's another one, or it starts with an M. I think it was Mongolia. Mongolia is in China, right? Yeah, it was China. It was Mongolia and I forget the other country. But definitely Syria and Russia. Let me see. Oh, Google says he did not broker an official peace deal, but he did facilitate efforts to establish a secret back channel between Israel and Russia during the Syrian civil war. He coordinated with former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak to set up a private meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The goal of the back channel was to discuss a Russian broker end to the conflict that would include negotiating the removal of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, key Israeli security objective at the time. So he didn't I'm being a little hyperbolic. He didn't broker a peace deal, but he was working behind the scenes to connect people, and I call that brokering, well, facilitating a peace deal. But anyway, let's get back to this. So he hasn't said anything. Operation Warp Speed, dumb argument. CHIPS Act, dumb argument. Tariffs, I'm going to have to, hey, what's up, Mikey? Insane Wheels.
Bullying them, 15% tax on any trade with China. The golden share as the U.S. gains control over Nippon Steel with the merger of U.S. Steel, threatening price controls on Walmart and Amazon to the point that
I wrote that down on the other page. Price controls on Walmart. Again, and this is the same thing if he brings up Harley Davidson here. Threatening. He didn't do it. He threatened it. Same thing with Harley Davidson. It's not Twitch, but raid. Let's go. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. I'm doing debate prep. I'm debating Fabian Liberty next Thursday about this same topic that they're debating right now. So I have a kind of an unfair advantage because I get to watch him having the same debate. But the topic is Trump is the most socialist president of our lifetime, or of the past 33 years. If it was of our lifetime, I would have to include for some reason he didn't want, who is it, Reagan? He didn't want Reagan to be a part of it. So he cut it off at 33 years. So it's basically every president since Bush Sr. Bush Sr., Bush Jr., Clinton, Biden, Obama, Trump. He says of those, Trump is the most socialist.
Walmart.
And this is the second night of prep, or second time of prep. All his arguments I already had written down because he's just repeating what Pacman said 5 years ago and what MSNBC said 5 years ago, and what the Young Turks, or no, MSNBC said it more recently, like 3 months ago, and the Young Turks did a story on it 3 months ago. So, and Shank agrees with me that he's not socialist. He already mentioned the CHIPS Act. That's not socialism. Using grant money from Biden's CHIP Act. Biden did the CHIPS Act. So there's all this grant money that needs to be spent, $11 billion. Trump takes that money, uses it to invest into Intel, securing 10% of Intel. That's capitalism. Socialism would be if Trump said, give me 10% of Intel. No questions asked. If you don't, you're fired. I'm taking you out, Intel. You'll be called Outtel when I'm done with you. Okay? You see? You either deal or you don't deal. And you don't deal. You deal. He didn't do that. He didn't force them to give him 10% of the company. He didn't use the government power to take over 10% of Intel. He used money from Biden's CHIP Act that was just sitting around because Biden was taking a nap in his basement. So Biden did the CHIP Act, don't even know what he signed. His auto pen signed it. And then he's sleeping in his basement. And there's just money sitting. Yo, we got $11 billion, Biden, from the CHIPS Act. We're supposed to spend it on, like, chips. What do you want to do with it? Hey, well, we're gonna, the chips. No, we don't know. What the hell does that mean, Joe? Oh, I don't know. Ask Kamala. Kamala. Joe. I can't do a good Kamala. I'm not good at doing the Wicked Witch of the West either, so. Trump socialist? What the fuck? That's a first for me. Yeah, that's what he's arguing. And when I looked at what I just typed into YouTube, Trump most socialist president. MSNBC has done a report saying this. Pacman has done a report saying this. Young Turks did a report saying this, but it was the other guy on the Young Turks saying it. Jank was disagreeing. Jank is on my side, which is crazy to say. The cackle.
Walmart CEO just stepped down today. $3.1 trillion deficit in 2020, an increased debt limit with the
Joe, we did it, Joe. I can't do Kamala.
the big beautiful.
Oh, here we go. The big beautiful bill. Hold on, I missed what he said.
To the point that Walmart CEO just stepped down today. $3.1 trillion deficit in 2020, an increased debt limit with.
Yo, Walmart's chilling. Okay.
The big beautiful bill. Cronyisms and subsidies for everybody. Given this, how can you call yourself a capitalist?
And this is where I think, I figured he's going to go with it, is crony capitalism. Or what James Hake from the Hake Report calls commie capitalism. Crony capitalism is where, like, you pick the people that you want. You pick the companies that you want to succeed. Those are your cronies. You got your cronies. So like we want Walmart to see. But Obama did the same thing with the auto industries and the bank bailout. So Trump, so this is his only argument is crony capitalism. But there's a reason that we call it crony capitalism and not socialism. If crony capitalism equals socialism, we would just call it socialism. There'd be no reason to have a differentiator for dang crony capitalism. Drive-by media doesn't count, and the young Durkas. It's awesome. Yeah. Hell yeah. Yep, Mike came through. Mike came through. I don't know if he wants me saying any of that, but well, let's just say Mike came through. You know? Otherwise, never mind. Yes, it was a fun time. Hey, Black. He Black. Donald Duck created appropriate resume years ago in this position. Donald Duck created appropriate resume years ago in this position. I don't know what that means. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. He knows what I'm talking about. Fabian guy looks hella dumb, a libertarian. He's not dumb. He's smart. But he is a libertarian. He's even worse than a libertarian. He's an ANCAP. Dude, I might just derail the whole debate and just be like, bro, you're an ANCAP. Shut up. Anything with "an" at the beginning is gay. ANCOM, ANCAP. Anything. That, you know what the "and" is for? Anarcho. Anarchy. What are we in, middle school? Still listening to the Sex Pistols and riding a skateboard to work? I don't know who I'm talking about. I ride a scooter to work. Anarchy, bruh. Anarchy. This is supposed to be an Anarchy A. I don't know why I'm throwing up gang signs. Guys, every time I record a Juicy Reacts video, I get stuck kind of on like Juicy mode a little bit. I think I realized I kind of am Juicy. You know, like when I do Jason, that's not like I like go into a different brain and I'm like a totally different person, right? I method act. I become Jason and it's totally different than me. But when I do Juicy, like that's just kind of like me, but blacker. Am I sleep deprived? Not any more than I always am at this time. I sleep. I get my sleep. I get my 6. I get my 6 daily.
And support the most socialist president in your lifetime.
All right, real quick before you go, Pentuple, point of order.
That was it. So all he did was run through everything I told you he was going to run through, right? The only thing new that he said in his opening that I didn't know about is, well, steel tariffs is under tariffs. So I said tariffs, and then he listed off specific tariffs. I said farm subsidies. I said COVID stimulus. I said tariffs. I said, and I said the CHIPS Act. So he listed all those. He brought up Operation Warp Speed. What does that have to do with socialism or Actually, no, I'm fine. I hope he brings up Operation Warp Speed with me. Please, sir. I hope he brings up the CHIPS Act. Please, sir. And I'll demonstrate how these are capitalist pursuits. You know? What's up, Abby? Cameron Harrington. Cameron Harrington. Throw me a freaking bone. Jump on the phone. Don't leave me alone. Abby Legend. Abby Zhong. Rolling 3. That was a weak ass opening, Fabian. You hear me? Stop. I'm stuck doing it now. Yes, Mike Ball rated. This is true. Okay, now pentuple. Now this is Fabian's topic. He requested this topic. So he's prepared for this. Like maybe this is one of the things he talks about. I don't know. Pentuple did not have hardly any planning time. I don't even think he was there because we got there early. Me and EOD and Sniper and Jake Var, we all got there. We weren't the first ones there at Grid's thing, but we got there pretty early. Wally was there when we got there, so he got there before us. But I had never met this pentuple guy. I'd never seen him. I didn't know anything about him. He got there a little later. Fabian Liberty was already there when we got there. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I don't think pentuple I think he had like 4 hours to prep for this. So I think he just like crammed and he's kind of just going off the cuff. I was not in the room watching the whole thing. I was out getting drunk. Or I think when this was happening, I was talking to Tom Foolery on his stream. But and I was drinking. And I come in late and I ask a question at the end and I get a little heated with Fabian Liberty. Because I'm like, what the hell is right-wing socialism? That doesn't even make sense, dude. And he's like, well, if you watch this documentary on YouTube, I said, don't tell me about a YouTube video. Answer the question.
There was a chat from Mrs. Dill. I think she said, God bless. Shout out to the crew in Nashville. Stay safe. God bless. Thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate it. Fantastic. I wanted to go one other thing. If we get super chats, I will interrupt y'all to stop and read them.
We also got a raid.
And we got a raid.
Cool Vic. Thank you, Cool Vic.
Thank you so much, Cool
Thanks,
Vic.
Cool Vic.
We appreciate the raid and the super chat. Y'all are fantastic. We appreciate. We're doing a special event down here in Nashville for DebateCon live in person. We're doing the sideshow, I guess, is what we're doing. It's a Grid sideshow. It's the best sideshow. Frankly, no one does a better sideshow. Anyway, so that's going to be what's going on here. Make sure you donate. If they do a donate, I will stop and read that out. And as always, y'all both know my moderator style,
the right
so
one?
not too worried. Go ahead, Pentuple. You got 7 minutes. All right.
Catching up on the last 20 minutes of the stream. Oh, don't do that, Abby. Don't do that. Just know when you get to the one part about what I said about Epstein, I was just joking, okay?
Start speaking. Go ahead.
Well, I probably won't use all of it, but the prompt for us is whether Trump is the most socialist president of our lifetime.
Oh, wait. I'm so sorry. Both of y'all moving mics close to your mouth. Yeah.
We're too tall.
Especially you.
Yeah, gotcha. I'll talk more directly.
All right, cool. I go ahead. Now go ahead and start over.
So we're debating ultimately whether Trump is the most socialist president of our lifetimes. We're talking about Biden, Obama, Bush, Clinton. I would argue he's the least socialist of them, and I would point at the ACA.
Yeah. If you do a simple Grok, just ask Grok right now, who is the most socialist president in the last 30 years? And it'll give you a ranking with a 1 to 10 grade of most socialist versus least socialist. And Trump, Bush Jr., Bush Sr., all fall below 5 out of 10 on the socialist scale. right? 10 being the most socialist, 1 being the least socialist. Bush Jr., Bush Sr., Trump all fall below 5. I think, I can't remember, but I think Trump was like a 4. So he said least socialist. Grok would disagree. There's arguments to be made that he's not the least socialist, but Trump, Bush Jr., and Bush Sr. are all like 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10. Biden is 7 out of 10. Obama is 8 out of 10. So that's just Grok. Now, I just typed that in. I don't really like using AIs at all. L's in the chat for that Epstein debate, Josh. What? I won. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Machine Lives was just complimenting me. Everybody says I won. They didn't like the one part, but you know, I just wanted to rage bait a little bit. I just wanted to kind of troll a little bit, but it's not really a troll. I actually do believe that I'm very not feminist. And I love when the feminism jumps out of people's skins as soon as you say, that sounds like me too. What did my camera just do? What the heck was that? Why did my camera just zoom out? Did I nod my head and it zoomed out? The heck? Anyway, everybody says, oh, I hate feminists. Oh, I hate feminists. Watch how quick the feminism jumps out of people's skins as soon as you say, R. Kelly sounds like me too to me. Bill Cosby sounds like me too to me. Just saying, just saying. Oh, Machine Lies wasn't co-signing me. Dang it. They just weren't understanding your position because they were thinking with their emotions, L on their part. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I said I knew that was gonna happen. Yeah. But even if you take that chunk, and I even wrote in my notes, what it said in my notes is it said when there's 20 minutes left on the clock, throw the debate. And then I wrote out basically my argument. And so I was watching the clock, and as soon as there's 20 minutes left and we're starting to go in circles, I was like, oh, I know how we can stir this up a bit. How about this take? Anyway, let's play.
The Affordable Care Act from Obama as probably the most socialist legislation we've got in the last 35 years or so that we're looking at. Trump wants to shut down.
But I did win on the poll. Okay, so regardless, I'm 3-0 on Swords of Reason. Okay. But this debate with Fabian Liberty, I'm taking it very serious. Well, I take all my debates seriously, and I took I took that Epstein debate seriously too. And even if it's bombastic and outlandish, it's a pretty good argument to say y'all are blowing this way out of proportion because those girls were living their best life. Like. And I haven't heard a good rebuttal for it yet other than just outrage. Well, I haven't heard a good rebuttal for it yet. I've heard people get outraged. People say, age of consent. They could do blah, blah, blah. Dude, I've read the victim statements. I've watched the documentaries. There's no evidence that they were running around kidnapping girls. They would say, hey, you go into Mar-a-Lago. You find a girl who's going to school for massage therapy. She's working in the spa. She's already massaging old dudes. And you say, hey, we got a job you can do. It's private. And we're going to pay you more than here. Now, who knows if they told them or didn't tell them. But the first girl they hire who goes in and does it, then they say, go tell your friends about it. She goes and tells her friends. Oh my God. I just got to hang out in a mansion and I massaged and I gave a happy ending to this old dude and they gave me $300. It's awesome. Go check it out. Like, that's what happened. That's what I promise you, I have examined the files, okay? We're losing people. Okay. I'm just being bombastic, guys. Sometimes you got to say something outlandish, you know? People were like, in the chat, they're like, what's it have to do with? Never mind. I went to school for massage therapy. Who does that? Marilyn, if you were 16 and somebody told you you could go to a mansion and do massages for the most rich and powerful royalty, actors, politicians, the most rich and powerful people. You get to live in a mansion, possibly on an island, a tropical island with your own private beach. You get all the drinks you want. You get all the good food you want. And you get paid, but you might have to jerk off an old dude. Bro, those chicks were doing that for free anyway. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm losing my audience. People are not with it. Okay. Guys. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Yeah, you know Maryland going straight to the island.
On the Department of Education, returned that to private markets for education. He shut down USAID. He ended the electric vehicle subsidies. He's wanted to give veterans access outside of the VA to private healthcare. He's often, criticized for favoring billionaires, which I think comes from his preference that the private market dominate in different industries. So when we're talking about socialism, and I assume we can agree on this definition, that we're talking about the public ownership of the means of production, or just more loosely, government control or intervention over industry. Is that fair to say that's kind of like what we're basing?
I would disagree, but it's your opening.
I guess I'll just open it up with that. I don't really have a prepared opening, but those are some of the things that I would point out that say, Trump's anti-socialist or not operating in a social.
So he's going to disagree with the accepted definition of socialism, and he's going to come up with a proprietary definition. So that's why I wrote and I circled it. Big circle. First step, establish definition. We may spend 10 minutes of this just figuring out how we define socialism, because I'm not going to accept some made up definition of right-wing socialism. I'm going to say, no, that's crony capitalism. What's the second word in crony capitalism? Capitalism. That's a form of capitalism. Now, maybe it's more social than capitalism, but it's capitalism. It's not socialism. So, Obama was a democratic socialist. I don't know if he openly admitted that, but nice hoodie. Yes, ma'am. It's funny, when I bought this, Avarice was working the merch table, and it was him and another guy sitting at the merch table, and there was only a few sweaters left, and I was like, I want to get a hoodie. I gotta get a hoodie. And I walked up and I was like, I want a hoodie. You got one in large? And Avarice is like, yeah, we got large. It's great quality material. The fabric is nice. It feels and I've got the 50 in my hand. And I'm just like, I want a hoodie. I want a large. And I've got the 50 in my hand. And he's like, well, we have a large right here, Mr. Josh, because I had a name tag on Mr. Smith. We have a large size hoodie here, and it's great quality material, good colors, great printing. The interior feels really nice. It's very soft. It keeps you warm. And the dude's like, bro, shut the fuck up. You already got the sale. Just take his money and give him the hoodie. And I was like, yeah, what are you doing? What are you trying to upsell me? Like, I'm already ready to pay for the hoodie. You don't got to sell me on it. Bro, I was doing a 24-hour stream. I saw that. I didn't realize. I saw him when I was at work. I saw him at like 5 in the morning and he was live. I was like, what is this? I'm going to do a 24-hour stream when we hit 6K. So we got like 150 to go. 150 subscribers to go. So if you like it, tell a friend. If you hate it, tell everybody. If you like it, tell a friend. If you hate it, tell everybody.
Socialist way, where we have, why wouldn't the Affordable Care Act be the most socialist legislation that we've had in our lifetime? And I know.
Well, before you answer, are you done with your opening?
Yeah, my opening.
All right, you're done with the opening. All right, yeah, as always, I will interrupt y'all sometimes to press both y'all or get clarification. But go ahead and respond to his question, and let's get going.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah. See, so Pentuple did not have a prepared opening. He just wrote down some notes. He had time to research. He wrote down a definition. He wrote down a few notes. And I'm not being critical either. That was very good for the time he had to prepare. It wasn't like a JS opening. It wasn't like a well-written, it didn't read like Shakespeare, or anything like that. But he hit all the points. Affordable Care Act, most socialist thing. I mean, I agree with Fabian on FDR being a socialist. And so I'm going to have to look more into some of these things that I wrote down, this 40-year mortgage plan, comparisons between Trump and FDR. But one of the first things Fabian said Scott said in his opening was Trump called FDR one of the greatest presidents ever. No, he didn't. He didn't do that. So that's a lie in the opening. And then bringing up the CHIPS Act, bringing up Operation Warp Speed. What is this? This is not socialist. This is capitalist. So I'm not impressed by I'm not really impressed by Scott's arguments. And Pentuple made all the stuff I shutting down USAID. USAID was pretty socialist globally. Right? Shutting that down, that's a good point. And then I would, of course, go to Obama, since I'm gonna be honing in on Obama. I'll start my opening. Here's the common arguments that they make against for how Trump is socialist. Debunk those in the opening. And then turn the tables and go ham on Obama. That's what I'm going to do. I was trying to get more. I know he's trying to like upsell me. I'm like, dude, it's a hoodie. We don't need to bring like sales tactics into this, dude. Would you just watch Boiler Room? ABC's always be closing. You don't have to close the deal. I'm already buying it. I have the money in my hand. Just give me the hoodie. We don't even need to bring ink and paper into this transaction.
I mean, if I want to,
Wait, I'm so sorry, baby. I lied to you. We got another super chat. Cool raid. Cool V. C raid. $5 Wi-Fi. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Wi-Fi just super chatted $5. Oh yeah. So I'm sorry. We're new to the YouTube. Bear with me. I'm a dumbass. We'll figure it out. Thank you. We appreciate it. Go ahead, Fabian.
Yeah. So if I accept the framing of, which is really just a Stalinist framing of, the state as a transitory state, owning the means of production. I don't accept that framing. We can use that framing for socialism, and
So you don't accept the definition of socialism. We're going to make up a new definition of socialism.
I understand definitions are important, so
Well,
maybe
sure,
we
let's
can have a
just
little
get
back and forth.
What does it mean to be socialist?
What I would say socialism is when the state intervenes in the market to fix the presumed contradictions of capital.
Hold on, his definition. Right, and this is the same thing Patman was arguing, which is a warped. So Patman was arguing that Republicans have a warped idea of what socialism is, and by their definition, here's why Trump's a socialist. And that's the definition that Scott is using right now, which is this fake definition of socialism, which he's saying when the government intervenes in the market. Hold on, I need to write this down.
What does it mean to be socialist?
What I would say socialism is when the state intervenes in the market.
When the state intervenes in the market.
To fix the presumed contradictions of capitalism.
To fix the presumed contradictions of capitalism. Basically, so he's pointing to things like Intel, which has nothing to do with the state intervening with the market to fix a presumed contradiction of capitalism. What that was we had grant money from the CHIPS Act and we had to spend it. And what better way than to invest it into an American company who makes chips? Not only are you boosting an American company to make more American chips for Americans so we get them cheaper, it also pays you back. That $11 billion investment, you see a $5.38 billion return a year. 2 years before Trump leaves office, he's going to profit $5 billion from that deal. Well, America will. 20 years down the road, if we keep it going, if some Democrat doesn't get in and screw it all up, we're making $5 billion a year off that deal. We're $32 trillion in debt. Every little billy counts.
Okay.
Right? Like that would be.
So fixing the state intervenes to fix with the markets, to fix the presumed contradiction of capitalism. So things like the auto bailout, things like bailing out the banks. That's not the same as Trump threatening Harley Davidson or Trump threatening Walmart or Trump investing grant money from Biden's CHIP Act into Intel. Stimulus, the COVID stimulus money. COVID, you have to take COVID off the table because that was an attack from China on America, and we had to deal with it. And everything was crazy. Maybe the stimulus was a mistake. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I liked it, But also, and they'll say that this doesn't matter because it was still under Trump's stimulus bill and Biden just let him go out. But 1,200 went out under Trump. 1,200 and 600 went out under Biden. If you remember, it was 1,200, then it was 600, then it was 1,200. Or maybe it was 12, 12, 6. But basically, three stimulus checks went out. That's all socialism, bro. All of that. Which part? The COVID stimulus? Yeah, I'm saying based off his definition, the stimulus could be egregious, could be a problem, but we're dealing with a global catastrophe. So crazy things had to be done that I'm sure Trump would not have done otherwise. But also, that's not socialism by any real definition of socialism. That's socialism by his made-up definition, his proprietary definition. And you said that's all socialism. You think investing grant money into Intel is socialism? Because it's not. If you think that that's socialism, I don't know if you know what socialism is. Operation Warp Speed is socialism?
That would be regulations. That would be the ACA, as you mentioned. That would be nationalizing industries. The problem that I have with your, utilizing your definition is
the real definition, by the way. Pentuple gave a dictionary definition.
You see so many lefties that are just running from what socialism is. Oh, none of that's real socialism. It's only when the state owns the means of production. And if we go by that definition, then open and shut case, Trump wins because he's the only one that's actually started nationalizing industry.
Okay, so you just conceded the debate. Please say that to me. Because I'm going to say, yes, that's the definition that everybody goes off of. That's the definition of socialism. You just conceded the debate. I'm not going to go off your made-up definition.
At least in part by owning percentages of Intel and having state and command control over the steel industry, having command and control over NVIDIA. And
he didn't force Intel to give up 10% of their company. That would be socialism. He bought 10% of Intel. That's not socialism. With government grant money. The government invested into a company to profit Americans. And they love it. That's not socialism. And well, never mind, but
AMD, right? I want to be even more fair and open it up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So before you respond,
I hate how this sound effect, I can't hear them talking when the sound effect goes off. We got double ads. Double ads.
Would you just say the government existing is socialist?
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then this is a much harder position to hold.
Is that your position?
I mean, that would be too simplified, but that would be the closest succinct.
How would you? Okay.
Right. I gave my definition would be when the state steps in to regulate the economy because of the inherent contradictions in capitalism.
How would you define socialism?
Well, what I looked up before we started this debate is this is how I would frame it for us.
Right.
The public ownership of the means of production is definitely socialist.
For sure.
And then we can expand that for this conversation into government control or intervention in private industry.
Yeah.
And so that's where most of this is going to be talking about.
Yeah. Right? I think, like I said, if we go just with pure government control.
Yeah. And in his opening, he mentions threats to companies that Trump made, threats to Walmart, he didn't even mention the Harley Davidson one. Nothing came about it. Trump threatens stuff all the time. That's the art of the deal, okay?
Control over industry, then I would have to look at who made Amtrak part, if I don't remember if that was maybe Clinton or something, but other than that, it would without a doubt be Trump. Right, the most hardcore.
So if we were going back and forth, and I was going to throw up the Affordable Care Act as what I believed was the most socialist legislation in our generation, what would you put forward that Trump has done that is more socialist than that?
I mean, I would say that the tariffs are more socialist. I think that that is far more.
So yeah, this is what he's gonna pin down on is these tariffs. So I've gotta study up on tariffs this week. God, I hate economics. I just don't like socialists or commies. I can argue anarchy's bad, communism's bad, socialism's bad, but I'm a brokey. Start talking big money. I don't know. But I know about the tariffs. I know a good bit about the tariffs. Is it socialist? Is it socialist if my president is imposing tariffs on my enemies? That's not socialist. Now he'll say, well, the tariff, the cost goes to the producer, and then it rolls onto the consumer. It's about 60-40% split there. 60% on the producer, 40% on the consumer. Yeah, that's kind of anti-capitalist. So even if I just concede, okay, I'll give you the tariffs. Tariffs are a little socialist. From your definition. Means of production. I mean, it's not even regulating the means of production. Distribution. It is regulating the means of distribution. Okay. So I give him tariffs. That's it. Nothing else I concede. I don't concede to any of this other stuff. I don't concede to stimulus. That's COVID. That's an unpredictable, unforeseeable event. That's an attack from China. When we were essentially in wartime, even though a lot of people didn't realize it. We were at war. We were being attacked by China. They sent human flu missiles from Wuhan. China doesn't allow people to just leave, come and go freely whenever they want. But yet, before COVID hit, China knew about it. 5 million people left Wuhan, which has a population of 11 million. All of those 5 million people went to Western nations. They went to Mexico. They went to Latin America. They went to South America. They went to America. They went to Europe. They went to Australia. They sent human flu bombs to the Western world. Almost half of their population, almost half of Wuhan's population just left. And then COVID all over the world. Shocker. Now, why did China let all those people just leave all of a sudden? They have Skynet to keep people from leaving. They don't use Skynet to keep people from coming in. Nobody's trying to go into China. China is asshole. Don't trust China. China's asshole. Sorry, Abby, if you're from China. but they use Skynet to keep people in. And if y'all think, what is JS talking about? Skynet? Look it up. Google it. Shut up. I'm not talking about Terminator.
More invasive in the economy than the Affordable Care Act, but that doesn't mean I'm a fan of the Affordable Care Act. And to your point, the ACA is probably the most socialist policy that Obama put into place, right? Well, I mean, in some ways, he stepped out of the way of the economy with letting fracking was a big thing that he did. Like there are certainly elements of his presidency that were, pro market, pro capitalism,
right.
but yeah, the ACA has been a disaster. It's anything but affordable, right? As we're seeing now, yeah.
Right. I would put that, to me, I would default to thinking that Obama, because of the Affordable Care Act, was the most socialist president of our lifetime. And maybe we can put that on pause and go through some of these other things, but like ending electric vehicle subsidies, would you say that that's socialist to end it or not socialist to end it?
I mean, it would depend upon the motivation behind it. It is true.
It is
on its
objectively
face.
the government
It is
pulling out of
objectively,
that private
yes.
market.
Yeah, I will. It is objectively true that ending any form of subsidy to give money towards a behavior in the economy is less socialist.
All right.
Right. Like that, I agree with you. Trump's relationship with that seemed to be, I mean, and it's hard to know whether or not this is like him being anti-socialist by accident, but he seemed to have this ire against Elon Musk and was proudly proclaiming that he was going to end the EV subsidies and that was some form of punishment to Elon Musk when Elon Musk was talking shit on him for the Epstein files. But at the same time, it also seems like maybe that was the plan before, and the other industries.
Well, regardless of the motivation,
why does that difference matter?
Well, I'm saying it matters in the sense that it might be, a state of mind. It is. I already lay out that he is
the reason I'm
objectively anti-socialist.
Well, the reason I'm asking
regard.
that for the chat, if y'all don't know, this guy runs MAGA headquarters. This guy's an avid libertarian, and so just to clarify for those that are new to any of the,
what is MAGA headquarters? Is that his YouTube channel? I think I found him already and subscribed to him, but his name's Pentuple, right? Is it this one? Christian attorney, host of MAGA headquarters. Yeah, this is him. Pentuple TV. Okay. Oh, I'm not subscribed. Now I'm subscribed. What is MAGA headquarters? Host of MAGA headquarters. Or maybe that's his show that he does.
of y'all. The reason I'm asking that is I actually don't know what your position on this is, but I know Lactwood, for example, is an incrementalist, right? Becomes a libertarian. Why would it matter? I mean, maybe you're not an incrementalist. You can explain.
It's in the name. Fabian liberty is incrementalism.
Sure,
it's tongue in cheek of the Fabian.
Well, right. Okay. So I guess my question is, why would the motivation matter if it's less socialist? If he does it, even if it's for non-libertarian or non-economic.
I mean, regardless of the motivation.
Why would it?
If we're doing a purely logos look at this, right? Like purely logical, I grant you, right, that ending a subsidy, ending regulation, ending control over it is without a doubt removing some element of socialism from the economy, and that is something that I would absolutely praise.
Right. So the reason I bring that up is because I'm coming up with a few things that I believe show Trump as
he keeps making like concessions where it's like, then what are we even talking about?
anti-socialist.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is kind of go through these things and determine whether, like, because do we both agree that we're going to have a mixed market system? We're not going to be purely capitalist, right? Or are you anti-socialist?
I would advocate for.
Would you always take the anti-socialist position?
He's an ANCAP.
Because it's socialism.
Yeah, I would always. I mean, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, right? I'm always going to be getting rid of the state intervention in the economy in every aspect. That being said, I do agree that we have a mixed market economic system,
right?
That we have elements of socialism and elements of capitalism, and I agree that any president that we bring up is going to have policies that are pro-market, pro-capitalism, except maybe like FDR or Woodrow Wilson, right? And then they're going to have socialistic elements, right? My argument, just to clean it up, is that, it's going to be this is going to be a difficult thing. We're going to have like a conversation about this more than screaming at each other, because what is more socialist, right? Is it
Right.
if I have 10 minor things in the economy that are pro-capitalist, but one insanely large thing that is pro-socialist? Well, then is
Right.
that more socialism or more capitalism?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I would
So,
go
yeah,
through.
let's go through.
I would go through a lot of these and say
Yeah.
that these are actively anti-socialist actions that
Yeah,
Trump has taken.
yeah, for sure.
So, like shutting down the Department of Education, removing the government control.
that was put in by Jimmy Carter. It's been a disaster.
Right.
That is, it's not.
But wouldn't an
It's not,
anti-socialist?
it's not as economically tied as most people would see, but I absolutely agree
Well, sure,
with you
but
that is.
we're talking about an industry.
Anti-socialist.
We're talking about industry, which would be education. And we're talking about the government control and
State
intervention
granted.
in that. And
Yeah.
so, and they, I mean, public schools are. I don't know how much of the education market that makes up, but I mean, most people I know went to public schools.
Yeah.
So like they have a huge grasp in that, and shutting down the Department of Education is going to put private schools a leg up. Do you agree with that? Because I would say this is a pretty big move, taking the government out of education.
Facts.
Well, we're taking the federal government out of policies, and
It's going to be hard to do this debate and not just use all his arguments, because a lot of the stuff he's saying, I would go to the Affordable Care Act. I don't know a whole lot about this electric vehicle subsidies thing. I'll have to look into that more. But yeah, shutting down the Department of Education, definitely less socialist.
and we've seen a lot of things such as like Title IX coming from the state, or reclassification of Title IX. We won't say they put it in for that, right? No Child Left Behind from Bush, right? We've had these socialist education initiatives in public school. I don't know how big of an impact it is if there's still education policy.
Title IX, federal civil rights law, 1972, prohibits sex-based discrimination in any education program or activity receiving federal funding. Yeah, that sounds gay. But that's 1972, so that's not in our time range here. Like, there's no really. He picked the debate topic. Well, I was going to say there's no point in bringing this up. There's no point in bringing up FDR. His point in bringing up FDR was to draw a parallel between FDR and Trump. So I got to be ready to break that. Especially if he lies and says that Trump said FDR was one of the greatest presidents ever. Trump never said that. Trump said the same types of things he says about his enemies. He said, he's a really nice guy. What'd he say about Ghislaine? I wish you're well. He just says that stuff. He said, yeah, he seems like a nice guy. Unless you're on the campaign trail against him, unless you're going against him, you're his enemy, then he'll tear you apart. Otherwise, he's just being cordial, amicable. MAGA HQ. I think that's the name of his show. His channel is called Pentuple TV. And on his description, it says host of MAGA headquarters. So I don't know if that's his show that he does or what. I'm so over life. That's dark, auntie.
Going through Congress and they're still being enforced through the executive by other means. I would hope so. I would hope that reduces that to a certain degree. I don't know in the grands where the chips fall, whether or not this really genuinely bolsters private schools or
Right.
charter schools or Montessori schools, but I would hope so. And that is something that if Trump actually does it, because, he kind of gets blocked on everything that he does. Like if it actually isn't, because right now it's like phasing out, hopefully it fully goes through. I will give them that. Right.
So what about shutting down USAID? I mean, that's huge government funds. Who knows how many industries that was branching into?
Yeah.
Is shutting that down anti-socialist?
Industries. How about just shell corps and fraud? Blatant.
Maybe argue it's not.
He doesn't have the power to fully shut it down. He has the power to pause it.
Well, is it? Am I mistaken that USAID was shut down and the remaining were put to the State Department? That's just
right. The thing is that
Yes, the U.S. Agency for International Development officially shut down its implementation of Foreign Association on July 1st, 2025, with its remaining functions absorbed by the U.S. State Department to align with administrative policy. Though the process faced legal challenges and significant controversy over its impact on global health and humanitarian aid, the dismantling began earlier in 2025 under the Trump administration, leading to staff cuts, program halts, and criticism from former officials, with some reports linking to the closure of increased mortality from preventable diseases. I hate this argument when the Democrats make, do you know thousands of people are going to die because we're not doing transgender Sesame Street in Okinawa anymore?
He doesn't have the power to completely remove funds because Congress owes the purse strings. He can pause USAID and then we can hope that the Republicans put forward some legislation that gets rid of it. But moving that into the State Department, moving those funds into the State Department, as if so, like for example, right? Donald Trump, in his first term was made a directive. I can't remember the exact order. Right, to stop the CIA from funneling guns in the Middle East towards, and through the Middle East and through Turkey and other like Eastern European areas, away from designated terrorist organizations. Right. He made that order. And so then they just switched it over to the USS Picatinny through the CIA just switched it over to the State Department. Right. So the State Department getting those funds isn't like the State Department are good boys that aren't going to engage in the same shit as USAID.
Sure.
But I will give you credit to a certain extent if his motivation is sincere.
Well, it's a significant reduction. Is it fair to say it was a significant reduction from what USAID was doing as USAID in that office to what the State Department has taken over? Because certainly the State Department hasn't taken over everything that the USAID was doing. And a lot of those programs did get cut.
Right. We don't know to what degree, like if the funds are going to the State Department, right? Like, and the State Department is still engaging in actions similar to USAID, right? Like funding NGOs. The State Department does that all the time.
Look, we agree that Trump in principle was anti-USAID, did not appreciate a lot of the things they were doing, and had his administration railing against it.
I think Trump in principle found out because of Elon Musk and Doge that people were like, appalled by like gender studies being funded in Pakistan for some random ass reason. Do I think that he is like in any way, shape, or form actually like against the State Department machine of influence throughout the world? I don't buy that.
But when I think about
let me jump in here because I think this is kind of interesting. I'm curious. So when it comes to his foreign policy with the world, it seems like he's very much more pro trade deal. Like when I look at Rwanda and Panama and some of these other ones that he's done recently, as opposed to like a USAID. Would you say trade deals fall into the socialist category, or is trade deals fine between countries?
Well, I think so. There was, I would say that it falls into the socialist category when it's bolstered by the threats and the coercion of mass.
He has to say that, because if he says trade deals have nothing to do with socialism, then he loses the whole tariff argument, which is his best argument.
Massive tariffs from this big consumption economy. And then, but if he's utilizing it to gain free trade, then that is obviously not a socialist policy.
So I guess, and this is this second. So okay, that was the one. This is the pentuple. My question is here. So okay, Fabian's put forth that basically because Trump is a popular. I mean, I'm going to paraphrase Fabian. He can correct me in a minute. I'm sure he will if he doesn't like how I phrased it. But to paraphrase, Trump's a populist. He's pushed a lot of.
Tariffs aren't inherently socialist, but are viewed differently across ideologies. Some see them as anti-capitalist, government meddling akin to socialism, central planning, or favoritism. But that's crony capitalism. While others, including some socialists, see them as tools to protect domestic jobs, challenge corporate power, and achieve national economic goals, even linking them to historical socialist movements. Free market advocates typically oppose them as distortionary taxes, while socialists debate whether tariffs truly benefit workers or just corporations without strong state intervention. So this is his arguments for tariffs as anti-capitalist. Tax on consumers. Importers pass to consumers, raising prices. Without strong mandates, profits often go to executives, not workers. Even figures associated with protectionism, like Trump, are sometimes seen as contradicting conservative values. Yeah, this is his key point. This is what he's gotta. This is what I have to. This is what I have to break down. Everything else is weak. This isn't the only thing. So it's possible I just give the concession and I say, okay, yeah, the tariffs are the most socialist thing that Trump has done. But let's weigh this compared to all of the socialist actions of Obama. I'm going to have to keep going back to Obama. So I have to study up on tariffs this week. Not like we haven't been talking about them a lot over the past since Trump got into office. But I got to keep it on the front of my mind instead of in the back of my mind.
Things that are socialist policy. I guess for you, you've argued with
Hey! Let's go, Abby Zong. Where's my sound effect? Oh.
I've been broke my whole life. Now money right.
Let's go. Why aren't we using this one? What am I doing? Hold on one second. Oh, wrong one. Don't look at that. This one. It's okay. I didn't have my stream key or anything. Thank you, Abby. Big 50. Let's freaking go. I appreciate that. That's going towards the new car fund. By July. That's 6 months. 6 months. July. Get the car. I basically save just, well, never mind. I'm not going to go into all that, but yeah, 6 months we can get it done. I can get unless some crazy super chats happen or something crazy happens, but pretty much that's the goal. 6 months, get a little car and still have some money in the savings. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Those cutting things and cutting the AI, what was it?
USAID.
Yeah, USAID, and then the Affordable Care Act, and Department of Education. You've argued, okay, he may be a popular socialist, but he's cut all these other programs. I guess to you, what is the line of socialism that he would have to cut, or the government spending he have to cut to prove that he's not socialist when he's enacted something like the big beautiful bill, which seems like one of the most socialist arguments increase spending. Like, how would you argue the two things in hand?
Well, I don't know about. I don't have an answer for you right now, but okay. I want to when I'm talking about like this USAID thing, for example, and Trump.
It's not socialism. It's crony capitalism.
I'm sort of attacking that. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't a socialist president want to protect that? Wouldn't they like be pro USAID? They would be like pro government intervention, pro government.
Well, okay, like the social question I'm asking, Pentuple, I guess. So with what Fabian's been pushing, I guess, is basically, it's not that Trump's necessarily a socialist himself, right? But if it's
the most socialist. I think we could point at any president and say that action was kind of socialist.
I guess what I'm asking is, right, so Trump will do something if he thinks it benefits what his agenda is, right? According to most people, I think.
I should have called I should have called Pep Talks out on this last night. I hate when people attribute motives to people and they like try to psychoanalyze people who they don't know, they've never met. You're not in their head. So Pep Talks was saying this last night, and I hear a lot of lefties say that. They say Trump only cares about himself. He doesn't care about anybody. He only cares about himself. What are you, psychic? What do you got, some tarot cards? How do you know that? How do you know what Trump cares about? Are you inside his brain? You don't know his head. He said the only reason he ran for president was because America was in trouble and he loves America. America first. So what are you psychoanalyzing him and say, oh, he's a narcissist? Oh, the stupid psychological gobbledygook, which is nonsense. And say, he only cares about himself. You saying he doesn't care about his kids? If I say, you say he doesn't care about his wife, I'm sure they'd be like, well, he raped one of his wives and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. You don't know what he cares about. You're not in his brain. Trump will do whatever to benefit himself. Oh, like giving up his presidential salary for 4 years and losing like $2 billion while he was president, going through court cases after court case, getting 34 felonies, getting shot in the neck, and still running again. But Trump only cares about himself. Trump could have retired. 20 years ago. Trump could have got off of The Apprentice and just dipped. He could have bought his own island and just disappeared. A billionaire. $4 billion. He lost a ton of money. He lost a ton of reputation. He went from being the most loved dude to the most hated dude. He lost billions of dollars. He lost more money than all four of the people on this. Scott, Pentuple, Gibbs, me. He lost more money than all four of us combined will ever see in our lives. That's how much he cared about America. He got 34 felonies. That's how much he cares about America. He got shot in the ear in an assassination attempt. That's how much he cares about America. And his reputation of being somebody who was damn near worshipped by musicians, by Hollywood, by the powerful, by the elite, by the lowly people, by everybody, to being the most hated man on earth. But Trump only cares about himself. I hate that. I hate when people say that.
And if he thinks expanding something will do it, it seems like the big beautiful bill is evidence.
Later, Abby. Thank you for hanging out, and thank you for the super chat. God bless you.
That he would expand to be a socialist, and he's socialist in the sense that he's expanding.
Well, I don't know that I agree with your.
Yeah, you don't agree. Okay,
with the big beautiful
So I guess
bill.
my question is, what is the line? What would he like? What is differentiating from? Hey, I'm a president that expands the government and makes us more socialist versus cutting. Like, has he done more of that cutting than the expanding?
Well,
or what indicates that he's going?
We're comparing him to the prior presidents, so like Biden,
Yeah.
Obama, Bush, and Clinton.
We'll go back
right?
to Bush, I guess, or
Yeah.
Clinton maybe.
So like Trump having socialist policies, I think they all have socialist policies.
Yeah, of course.
I think
Yeah,
if
yeah,
Kamala
sure.
had gotten in, like it's hard to say like what are the other options? Would they have been more or less socialist? I would argue that Trump is less socialist than we would have seen with Kamala. She certainly wanted to have.
That's irrelevant. I wouldn't even bring up Kamala because this doesn't matter. Pentuple's right, but there's no reason to even bring Kamala into it. Just focus on Obama. That's what I'm going to do. All I have to do is show that there was a president who was more socialist than Trump, and I win. So I'm going to focus on Obama. And I need to write this stuff down. Hold on one second. Do. Do. Barack Obama, Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. What about Obama phones? Was that part of Obamacare? Dodd-Frank financial regulations, stimulus spending post 2008 crisis, auto industry bailout. I mentioned that earlier. Expanded government role in healthcare, covering 20 million uninsured, and banking oversight. Critics labeled it socialized medicine. Supporters saw it as a pragmatic liberalism. Closest to redistributed welfare expansion in this era. Joe Biden's second place, the American Rescue Plan, 1.9 trillion in stimulus compared to Trump's 2.2 trillion in stimulus. I'll say this in the debate. I look at Biden as Obama 2.0, right? Obama was a puppet president. He wasn't running the show. He didn't even know his freaking wife from his sister. So to me, Obama and Biden combined to make the ultimate megazord of socialism in America. But if I have to pick one, I'm going to go Obama. But then I have Biden as a backup. He's going to, if he wants to go down, it seems like he's not going down the stimulus road. He's sticking to the tariffs road, which is the best argument, right? But Trump's 2.2 trillion compared to Biden's 1.9 trillion. The Inflation Reduction Act, green investments. That's socialist in a mug. We're wasting money on garbage because you tell people it's good for the environment. Meanwhile, China and India are putting out more carbon emissions than we could possibly imagine. Ridiculous. Infrastructure bill, student debt relief. Student debt relief? Fuck those kids. What? What? The Build Back Better plan scaled down social spending. Focused on middle class relief and inequality reduction. Gay. But moderated by Congress. Echoed New Deal style investments. Ooh, good point. Okay. So Biden was closer to FDR in the New Deal than Biden. Build Back Better. Was closer to FDR. Build Back Better. Which was gay. Inflation Reduction Act. The IRA. Criticized as socialist by opponents for spending scale. Build Back Better. Inflation Reduction. Which, by the way, I think Inflation Reduction Act was the one that mentioned pot shops 4,000 times. More than any other single issue was mentioned. You can fact check me on this. I may be wrong about this, but it was something like the Inflation Reduction Act mentioned pot shops 4,000 times. It was mentioned more than any other issue. Was basically setting up weed distribution centers, which that has nothing to do with socialism or capitalism. Actually, I guess you could say that's capitalist. I'm just throwing it out there. That really doesn't have anything to do with the debate that we're talking about. Yeah, I think all we have to do is compete with the tariffs. And I think the way we compete with it is we just say, yeah, I concede the tariffs were the most socialist thing that Trump did. But it's not nearly as socialist as the Build Back Better plan, the Inflation Reduction Act, the Obamacare, the Obama phones, the $800 billion in auto loan bailouts from Obama, the 1.8 trillion in stimulus from Biden, and then he says, "Well, Trump's stimulus was 2.2 billion." Yeah, but Trump was in the shit with COVID. He was there when it hit. Biden could have came in and said, "That's good enough." And also, I want to debate. The problem is, I don't know. This is a risky debate to have on YouTube. I want to debate pentuple about Trump's handling of COVID. I hate when they say he handled COVID badly. Nobody could have done a better job. Well, it's speculation because, of course, the past doesn't exist. We can't go back in time. We can't look at it if we had another president. But I don't care. Trump handled it better than anybody else would have handled it. And when they say he handled COVID horribly, shut up, dude. Y'all were crying for a vaccine. He got you a vaccine in record time. He did a travel ban to stop people coming in who might have COVID from countries where they might have COVID. You called him xenophobic. You have Democrats saying, who was it? Pelosi saying we should be dancing in the streets. You have Gavin Newsom going to his wine restaurant with no mask on, having private parties while other people are locked in their house. Fuck off. Trump handled COVID epically. He did the best he could do with what he had. And he did a good job. It's not his fault. People are retarded. Anyway, I digress.
Government growing into different industries.
If Kamala was cogent and not retarded and actually had control over the government, I might agree with you. I feel like Kamala probably would have just been Biden 2.0 because they would have been like, okay, you have a nice speech.
Ooh. Okay, so if I say Biden was Obama 2.0, he shouldn't have had a problem with that because he thinks Kamala was Biden 2.0. That means Kamala is Obama 3.0.
Wine mom.
Right.
Go over here. Like, I think it would have been just the status quo. Like, here's the thing is like the way I view Donald Trump, at least as far as I can tell from a libertarian perspective, and maybe all the righties will hate me for this. Right. But right. But I think
somebody said, I hate you. I don't think that was me. I don't think I was in there yet.
The way that the way it appears to me is that Donald Trump is recognizing that all empires must fall or reorganize. And I think the day of America being like the super empire that controls the world is kind of falling to the wayside. Like,
I hate when anything does this, Cap, com, primitivist, anarchist. I hate when they say this crap. We got to burn the system down and then rebuild it from the ground up. What are you talking about? You're going to burn the whole system down? We're going to die. 70% of the population dies if we don't have power and running water in a month. I don't know where I get that from. I just made it up, but it's true. No, actually, there's a book called, what's the book called? 90 Minutes After? Or basically it's a book about water and power shuts down. The grid goes down. It's a book and I'm going to write a book about this one day because I got some crazy ideas. And dude, if anybody's surviving the dang apocalypse, it's me. But because I've been thinking about it. But the grid goes down, no power, no electricity, and no running water. 70% of the population is dead in 90 days. Did I say 30 days before? I meant 90 days. The plan is you retreat into the mountains or into the woods. You hide. You basically need to know how to survive for 30 days with nothing in the woods. Be in an area where you have a place where you can fish, place where you can hunt, place where you can gather and forage. You set up a shelter in the woods. You lay low for 30 days. Then the second 30 days, you can start scouting. The first 30 days, all the chaos and all the madness is going to ensue. A lot of people are going to die. The second 30 days, the strongest, the roving gangs of raiders and people like that, they're traveling around and they're looking for people. Now, that's when you start scouting. Now you want to turn on your stealth points. Okay. First, you get survival points. Now you got to, in the second 30 days, you turn on your stealth points and you want to stealthily sneak around and you just want to observe. You want to watch people, but you still just let things play out. You're still just sitting back. The third 90 days is when all those roving gangs, all those different groups and clusters of people that organize together start killing each other. By the end of 90 days, 70% of the population is dead. The 30% left are the ones who were smart like you. And then you start making your way back into the city to scavenge for the leftovers. Rebuilding? Nobody's rebuilding shit. What are you talking about? We're going to burn the system down and rebuild it. Tear the system down and rebuild it. The anarchists always say this crap. It's retarded. You're not going to be able to rebuild anything. What are you going to, maybe in 300 years? Not in your lifetime. Not in my lifetime. Not in a newborn baby's lifetime. Speaking of newborn babies, are you going to have any? What's going to happen? You're going to be so afraid to talk to any woman that you meet after the 90-day period, after that cool down period. You meet a lady. I ain't trying to have a baby with you. You're going to stab me and eat me. What are you talking about? Tear down the system and rebuild. It's crazy.
Like we don't have the, 2024 ended the deal where, USD had to be traded for OPEC plus oil. So we have nothing really backing our dollar other than
burn all the money. Yeah, Marilyn, that's a great idea. When's the last time you carried cash? Burn all the money. The money is representative of something. It's just a piece of cloth. Burning all the money does nothing. The money's digital. What does burning all the money do? It makes a nice fire. Calm down, Joker. That's a movie.
The hope that Saudi Arabia keeps trading in our oil. Right. And I think what we're seeing is a reconsolidation of power towards inward, right? I think what we're seeing is Trump.
Whoa. Let's stay away from the racism, okay? We don't need to be throwing out N-words.
Is recognizing, why are we spending so much money on NATO? Why are we spending so much money on USAID, right? Like silly programs like that. I don't think he's smart enough to really understand the State Department's role in all of those things and how that soft power is utilized, right? But
I also hate that when they undermine Trump's intelligence. IQ experts have estimated Trump at 150 to 155 IQ. He's not a dumb guy, okay? You don't get that. You don't get to where he is by being a dumb guy. He's not dumb. I hate when I used to I had a teacher that told us once. He said it doesn't matter who's the president. Never call them dumb. Now, this is just what my teacher told me. But he's like, the requirements to become a president, the president of America, like, you don't get in there by being dumb. And And that, like, as a kid, I remembered that and I held on to it. I was like, yeah, you never call the president dumb. The president's smart. President's smart. You have to be smart to become a president. Now, when I'm older, I mean, when I see somebody like Kamala running, I'm like, but she lost. So maybe he's on to something. Biden was not dumb. Biden was demented, as in like dementia, as in like, I'm not a doctor, by the way, YouTube. I'm just, speculating, but as in old and mentally fragile and broken in his mind. But young Biden, you ever seen young Biden? Young Biden was kind of based. Young Biden was a smart, sharp guy. Biden wasn't dumb. He was just old as dirt. And then people will say, well, Trump's the same age. I don't mean old as dirt as in the years on his name. I mean, his brain didn't work anymore. So, but yes. So I kind of agree with what my teacher told me, but to say Trump is dumb, he's too dumb to know what the State Department's doing with the... Shut up, dude. How can you say that? Now I can't take you seriously when you say something like that. Granted, I say a lot of crazy shit too that you probably can't. You probably wonder if you could take me seriously.
But so, without a doubt, I think he's pulling out of certain areas and then pumping into other areas, right? I think it's what the bluster about Canada, that's probably mostly a joke, but Greenland, not really a joke, or the threats against Venezuela, or trying to work with Argentina and deal.
I listened to a what's her name? The chick, I love her. I don't love her as much as Savannah Hernandez, but Kate. Why can't I think of her name? Caitlin Bennett. Caitlin Bennett. Caitlin Bennett. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I watched a video she did the other day, and she's at a college campus, and she's talking to all these like foreign students. All the students are foreign. It's crazy. But this dude from Venezuela, she's like, what do you think about Trump going to war with Venezuela? And he said, I think it's a good thing. I think it's very good. Well, I think it's a good thing. It's very good. We don't like Venezuela. I don't like it. I hope Trump wipe it out. No, but he said it'd be a good thing if Trump went to war with Venezuela. And Caitlin Bennett was like, wow, when I talk to these white Americans, they're all like, oh no, we can't go to war with Venezuela. And the guy's like, it won't really be a war. Venezuela has no weapons. Venezuela is very weak. It won't be a war. It'd be more like we just take them over. And we purchase them like we purchased Alaska from Russia. And she's like, you want us to acquire Venezuela? And the guy's like, yes, it would be very good. I would like that. My people would like that. And she's like, well, I don't know if I agree with you on that. I was like, Baze, that's what I've been saying this whole time. What are you talking about? We don't need to go to war with America, go to war with Venezuela. What are you talking about? That's not even a thing. Venezuela versus America, a war? Come on, be serious. But we could acquire Venezuela like we have Puerto Rico as a territory. And guess what? The people benefit. We benefit because of the oil. And the rest of the world shudders at the thought of America controlling the number one oil producer in the world. Off of what war? There ain't gonna be no war. We're blowing up drug boats. That's another thing Pentuple and me were getting into. He kept wanting to go off topic. And let me, as a little debate review thing from last night, to be fair, okay, if you guys ever saw when I went on Aiden's stream. The first time I went on Aiden's stream, and he's a lefty. It wasn't like a debate. It was just like we were getting to know each other. So I was jumping from topic to topic to topic to topic to topic. And so we never really pinned down on one topic, and it wasn't so much a debate as what it was is I don't know him. He doesn't know me. I don't know what his worldview is. He doesn't know what my worldview is. So when I meet a lefty or I go on a lefty stream, or if you watched when I went on a breakfast taco stream with the atheists, I was jumping around to a bunch of different arguments for God. When I went on with Aiden, I was jumping around to a bunch of different arguments against lefties. And what I'm doing is I'm feeling them out. I'm like I'm trying to clock them. I'm trying to put them in I have a political compass in my head, and I'm trying to mark them. So now I know what I'm arguing against. If you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here. I know what I'm arguing against. So I think that's kind of what Pentuple was doing last night. Now, I'm a normal on Easy Stream, and I take debating seriously. So I wanted to stay focused on Epstein and specifically Trump accusations regarding Epstein. And that's what I wanted to focus in on. He is coming into a new area with some guy he doesn't know, on a stream he doesn't know, with people he doesn't know. And so I don't really blame him for kind of bouncing around. He's trying to feel me out. He's trying to plot me on his political compass in his mind, so he knows what he's arguing with. The problem is when I do it, it's on an open panel. He did it in a debate with a specific topic, and that's not the time to do that. We need to stay focused on the topic at hand. And you can use examples. You can reference other things. Like I referenced the Hunter Biden laptop because I felt like it's a comparable thing. It's a comparison. Like if I saw Trump had a laptop that had him at Epstein Island with a bunch of girls on it, I'd be like, whoa, that's fucked up. You're a piece of shit, Trump. So that's why I was like, yeah, what would convince me that Trump was guilty is if they found a laptop with pictures of him with the girls that he left in a pawn shop, and he's smoking crack with Asian hookers, and he likes them yellow. I didn't say that part, but I meant I was supposed to add that in there. He likes them yellow. That's what Biden said in text messages, but Joe Biden or Hunter Biden. But so I kind of get that Pep Talks he was trying to feel out he was trying to feel me out. Pause. he was trying to clock me, and I just kept bring it back to the debate. Let's bring it back to the debate. Let's bring it back to Epstein. And even in the open panel, you saw the same thing because he's in a new environment. He doesn't know any of these people. And once the open panel started, Epstein files, nobody's talking about that anymore. They moved off that topic and it went to theology, freaking drug legalization. It went all over the place because he's just trying to feel people out, and so he keeps throwing out ideas and see how they react. And so I get it. It's just that's what you do on the panel, but not during the debate. Plus a little critique if he sees this. I probably watched like 6 hours of his content. Well, listened to while I was at work. I probably listened to about 6 hours of his content. He said, JS, I've never seen any of your stuff. All I did was watch a couple of your shorts. What? How you prepping for a debate with somebody and you watched a couple of their shorts? You know I have a whole debate playlist. You can see my style. You can see my worldview. Like, you could just at least watch one of my debates. Like, I felt a little insulted. I was like, oh, really? So we've known about this debate for like a month now, and you didn't at least watch one of my debates for preparation? Like, I don't know. You gotta prep harder, bro. Prep harder, bro. I'm not saying you gotta subscribe. I'm not saying you gotta be a fan, but at least watch one of my debates. All you did was watch shorts. I wonder what shorts you watched. It's probably like Marilyn talking about being God or something. Like, what short? Like, my shorts are, I don't even know, man. What did you get from my shorts? If I'm debating somebody, you better believe if they have debates on their YouTube channel, I'm watching them. At least one. But anyway, it's a little constructive criticism. Always know your opponent. How are you going to defeat your opponent if you don't even know them? I'm going to know you inside and out. Pause.
Is I think he sees America kind of shrinking in and isolating itself to a certain degree, both economically and from a power-based perspective. And in that process, what we have seen is a massive increase in taxation through tariffs. We have seen Donald Trump try and exert power over American corporations away from capitalism and the free market when it comes to Intel and AMD and NVIDIA and the tech industry. We have seen...
That's crony capitalism. That is not socialism. Using grant money that you got from Biden's CHIP Act to purchase 10% of Intel for $11 billion of grant money that's going to repay itself within 2 years and then be a $5 billion profit every year after that is not socialism. At the worst, it's crony capitalism.
Seen him try and nationalize at least some level of power and command control over large corporations like Walmart and Amazon and over the steel industry. And on top of all of that, he doesn't give a fuck how much money we spend. And it's that combination that I think makes him uniquely socialist. But of course, he's not a left-wing socialist, right? Like he doesn't give a fuck about gender studies classes in Panama or fucking certain of course he's going to pull things out of that because he's not a left-wing socialist. He's very culturally populist, center right culturally, but economically and in terms of command control over the economy, he seems to be constantly pushing that barrier towards socialism. Now, whether you think it's a good or a bad thing is that, but to me, that is the most socialist president in our lifetime.
Mr. Belay and the cutoffs.
Mr. Belay and the Department of Numismatics donated $20 super chat. Debate Map of Grid and Gibbs is brought to you by Tactical Soap from Klondike Soap Company. Wash with Grid's mask, the only soap with the strength to cut through feminism funk.
Opportunity if you don't start making whatever that is. So I would do before I want you to respond to everything you said, but this is an argument I've heard many, many times recently since you started your not debate. We'll go with restarted people policy, jumping double. But here is a question that he's brought up, kind of interesting. Is Trump smart enough to understand the foreign policy implications and the economics?
Jay Dyer says a major component of socialism is monopoly capitalism. I don't know. I'd have to hear him explain that. Off the cuff, no. but I don't know. I'd have to hear where he's going with that. I'd have to hear more about it. But birds aren't even real. I don't know if you're in the Discord, but If you type exclamation Discord and join the Discord, send me a clip or something, or the video or the stream where he was talking about that. So like Lenin wrote a book called Imperialism, what is it called? It's called like Imperialism, the Dangerous End of Capitalism, or let me see. Lenin book. Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism. Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism. And that's written by Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. Now, so, and he says monopolistic capitalist imperialism is the ultimate end of capitalism. And I would agree. And he's a communist, by the way, if you don't know who Lenin is. But once the money, it piles and piles and piles and piles until eventually there's a top dog who runs everything, and his greed. Well, even if he's not greedy, you rise and you rise and you rise. And this is a Pareto distribution, which is unavoidable in nature or in economics. But there's always going to be a top dog. And that top dog in capitalism basically has a monopoly on everything. He has the most money. He has the most power. And inevitably, it leads to reaching out farther. So you start nationalist, you get bigger and bigger and bigger, you start gaining surrounding countries, and soon you have a monopolistic, capitalistic, why am I adding ick to the end of my words like a low IQ person? You have a capitalist monopoly that is imperialist. See, that's the smart way to say that. Monopolistic, capitalistic, imperialistic, those are stupid people words, by the way. If you add IC to the end of words that aren't necessary to do it, you're just putting extra syllables at the end of your words to sound smarter, and it actually sounds dumber. But anyway, you have a capitalist, imperialist monopoly, and that is the ends. That's the highest level of capitalism. But even Lenin would not argue that becomes socialist. But I can kind of see where you're saying is that once you get to that high level, maybe you start being like, oh, well, I want to be a philanthropist. I want to take care of people. The only guy that can do that is the top dog. So I don't know. I'd have to hear more about Jay's take on that. Let me try to find it for you. Yeah, if you find it, I'll listen to it.
And I know that you have opinions on this, so I would like you to respond to that and then everything else you said. But I specifically wanted to bring that up because we hear from the left all the time. So it's interesting to hear it from a libertarian today. And this is a right-leaning channel on Grid, so I'm going to take the opportunity to ask a right-leaning question.
You can think what you want about Trump. I don't really find myself in a credible position to speak to his personal knowledge. I only see what he published.
This is like over, and it still goes for an hour and 51 minutes. Oh, wait, I think there's... Oh, this is all one debate. Huh. Hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta pee, guys. imperialism is awesome. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that. I'm a nationalist, but then when I hear about possibly acquiring Venezuela and Canada and Greenland and what the hell's that place? What's the place with Israel, Palestine? Then I'm like, hey, I'm kind of with it, but maybe imperialism is awesome. I'm not trying to go total like extreme right. I'm trying to stay at least a little grounded and a little bit towards closer to the center, But then when I start thinking of like global domination, I'm like, that sounds kind of based. But I'm also not a fan of globalism, so
publicly announces I can only go based off of the policies.
Yeah, look at him, not me.
Yeah. So
he's
I
the
mean,
one that threw you under the bus.
Whatever you want to think.
Well,
You
you're
think
the one
Trump's
who
an
said
idiot.
it.
You think Trump's an idiot. I'm probably not going to talk you out of that.
And he's like, anyways, let me just let that speech sit.
Yeah,
Like,
I
no,
mean,
go
like when
ahead,
you said
go.
Kamala was retarded. Yeah, obviously. But like when we're talking about Trump, I mean, it comes down to a little bit more nuance than that. I'm not really like.
Well, so the argument for the lefties.
To be fair, I called Kamala retarded.
Yes.
I said I don't know that Trump
We
is
can
smart
agree.
enough to grasp that.
But
there's a difference here.
That's
I don't
fair.
think Trump's
That's fair.
retarded.
That's fair. And I guess the reason I'm asking you this because I know you're the head of MAGA HQ, right? Unofficially. But like we're sitting here saying
No, it's official.
it's official. Okay,
It's official.
boys.
I'm the host
Yeah,
of MAGA
to us it
headquarters.
is, right? But I guess the reason
All
I'm
MAGA talking points go through me,
yeah, I believe it. Yeah, legally, you can say that as a lawyer. But here's the reason.
not Ben Shapiro.
The reason I'm asking you this is because we hear this often, and now we're hearing from libertarians. People don't think Trump's intelligent enough to understand the nuances, the foreign policy, the economics. Do you
Yeah,
agree with
we
that?
should take a random person off the street and let them decide foreign policy. That would be a great idea.
So, like, you don't think you would understand the social
Well, it's the
implications?
same people that you're talking. Like, you take a random person off the street that has, who knows?
So I guess my next question is then, okay, if you do think he's smart enough, well, what do you have to think about the rest of what he has to say? Do you agree that he's not doing it for socialist things? Do you agree he's all right?
Well, I think there's socialist things that he's done. I think there's things that are anti-socialist that he's done that other candidates wouldn't have done and other presidents wouldn't have done.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I look at the ACA. I think that's just so aggressively socialist that it's hard to not put Obama at the top of that list. That's just how I see it. And Trump, at least in spirit, it seems like he wants to reduce public funding of industry. Right. We had Doge, which we can agree or disagree about how effective that was, but in spirit, right, we're trying to reduce the government spending rather than focus on, we got to tax the billionaires. He's often criticized, and this is maybe something we can dive into.
It's good that I'm watching this like a week before the debate, because otherwise if I watch this like the day before, this is why I like to have time I need 2 weeks to prep, because I have work and stuff, and I like to be prepared. But I can watch this and then I can kind of forget. I don't want to say everything he's saying, but I'm gonna make a lot of these same points.
Because it's a little bit more vague of an argument, but Trump's always accused of favoring billionaires, right? Because he's giving tax cuts to private industry and stuff like that. He's not using government to try to insert into these industries.
Mm-hmm.
That seems pretty anti-socialist, and I don't think other presidents have taken that approach.
Yeah, so in terms of the ACA, like, I do agree. If Trump was, my problem with that is Trump had control of all three branches of government in his first term, and he didn't do shit to stop ACA.
Well, the Republicans did.
Okay,
the Republicans did. But when we talk about MAGA, if we had 60 MAGA senators, I promise you things would be different. All right?
Maybe.
Promise
maybe.
you that.
But I mean, like, so is it, if we don't care, right? Because earlier in the debate we said that, like, why does it really matter what his specific opinion is?
Right.
It's about his results, right?
Sure.
And if it's about the fact that he, at the very least had rhinos and MAGA together, right? Like, if he couldn't stop the ACA before, and now we have this whole government shutdown based around the ACA. And what cuts are we going to destroy the ACA?
How much of like the fast food, cheap junk food industry is supported by like SNAP benefits and stuff? Is there a way we can connect?
I'm sure there's a study. I'm sure there's a study somewhere that can track that. But God knows, I don't think, and I think this is probably one of the better things that Trump did by at the very least putting Doge forward. As far as it was fairly toothless in its ability to significantly really cut waste.
Right.
I think it was a great thing in that it showcased just how horrifically inefficient the state
that's income. That's it. Right.
So I don't think they know where their money is going. You know,
it's hard to imagine because our spending is so out of control that hundreds of billions.
Why? As far as I know, hold on. Before I say this, let me look it up. Okay. Department of Government Efficiency does not exist anymore. I thought it still existed, but there's Fortune is writing Doge isn't dead, it's been absorbed into the bloodstream. So kind of, yeah, Scott's kind of right what he's saying. He's saying what it did is it shined a light on everything and now it's been disassembled. But we know about the fraud now. It's been exposed, so we can work on it.
Billions of dollars can be reduced down to fractions and small percentages, right? But like, I've made this point a couple times before. Not that it makes it a great point, but we're often looking at, tax the billionaires as one of the solutions to bridging this gap between our spending and the revenue we collect. But as far as I've looked up, Elon Musk at most has paid $11 billion in a single year in taxes.
12 billion was the latest.
Well, so we'll take 12 billion. Yeah. I mean, we could say 15 even for the sake of this argument, but we could double that, right? Say we saved $30 billion. If Doge saves $30 billion, we kind of tend to reduce that to, that's nothing. It's just a fraction of a percent. It's meaningless. Mm-hmm. But that's twice of what Elon would have been paying. We could double, triple his taxes, and it would be less than what we've saved there. Yeah, while I agree, it certainly is a minimal impact when you look at it against the whole. Right. But I think saving $30-40 billion here and however much Doge did save, I do think all of that is meaningful, especially when you put it against the people who are saying,
No, Doge saved over $100 billion. You're going to get conflicting reports on this. Matter of significant dispute, right? Claims widely challenged by independent analysis. According to Doge, it was $175 billion. Musk initially promised to cut $2 trillion. Now, at that pace, they were on pace to. Now, this was a high estimate, but they were on pace to get to like 1.2 trillion in the time limit that he said. NPR and Politico cross-referenced the claim. Federal spending data found the actual verifiable savings from contract cancellations to be in the range of $2 billion to $7.3 billion. Yeah, well, fuck NPR and Politico. Because we talked about this on the Monday night show when it was happening, and we went over these articles from Politico and NPR claiming they only saved $2 billion when we know it was at least over $100 billion. Methodology issue often includes ceiling values, multi-year contract saving, blah, 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 money reallocation. Any funds freed up were generally returned to the agencies which were legally mandated to spend them, meaning they did not lower the federal deficit, as Congress specifically noted. Increased cost. Cost is around 135 billion. Oh yeah, because Democrats want to sue when they get their funding cut for their wasteful programs. Revenue cost. Well, anyway, it's somewhere between 7 billion and 175 billion. But you have to think about the pacing.
Solution is just to tax the rich more. I mean, we could double their tax, we could quadruple their taxes, and it's still less than what Doge saved. So it actually, I would argue it was meaningful. It certainly was less than we would have liked, and there's probably a 10x we could have gotten.
Let's talk about.
It wasn't meaningless.
No, I don't think it was meaningless, right? Doge was created by Obama, right? And then
what? Doge was created by Obama, and I don't know if we could have 10x'd it, because you can't destabilize the economy. So when you're cutting all this fraud and you're researching into all these government groups and stuff, Trump, it's a double-edged sword. If Trump promises to cut wasteful spending and all this other stuff, but he also promises to lower grocery costs. I've talked about this with like immigration before. Trump says he's going to get out all the illegal immigrants, but then he says the farmers can stay. Why? Why does he do that? Well, it's a double-edged sword. He also promised to get food prices down and get grocery costs down. And more Americans care. I would argue, I know immigration is like the biggest topic, but coming from a guy like me, coming from the average American who lives paycheck to paycheck, doesn't have $600 in their savings account for an emergency. I do have $600 in my savings account for an emergency, by the way. But if the majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and they don't have $600 in their savings account for an emergency, you say, what's more important to you, an illegal immigrant or grocery prices? Most of them are going to say grocery prices. Now, maybe they don't understand the economics and how immigration affects our grocery prices and our housing costs and all these other things and the schools. It affects all these things negatively. But if you just ask the average American that you pull off the street, hey, you care more about this illegal Mexican immigrant or your grocery prices? They're going to say grocery prices. So Trump's got a double-edged sword he has to deal with, whether it be immigration or government spending, wasteful, fraudulent government spending. Most Americans are like, yeah, but I just want my eggs to be $2 again. You know, I want my beef and my eggs to be cheap, right? I want my gas cheap. Well, that's energy. That's a whole different topic. But let's focus on groceries. I want my groceries cheaper, right? If Trump goes in and 10x's, let's say Doge did save us $175 billion from the deficit, which isn't funny money. It's imaginary money. 32 trillion to 37 trillion. I don't even care what the number is. It's bullshit. But we're trying to cut that deficit, right? So we 10x it. Let's say Doge did do 175 billion in 6 months, which is actually longer than, but we're just easy numbers. 175 billion, 6 months, 10x it, 1.75 trillion, 1.75 trillion in 6 months. And we're going to keep that up for 4 years. Yeah, it sounds good, but you're throwing off so many systems. You're collapsing so many systems that we end up like an anarchist state where there's chaos. And who knows what that's going to do to the grocery prices. So Trump is doing a balancing act, and it's a double-edged sword where, well, if I deport all of the immigrants, grocery prices are going to go up. Housing prices might go up because we're not going to have any people building the houses. If we collapse all of the government programs, who knows what might happen? You know, so he's got to figure it out. He's got to play the game. And as an incrementalist, I don't see why Scott would be against that. Would you rather it happen instantly? Nobody argues that any of these changes, that these prescriptions that we give for the ideal government system, or when we're doing politics and we're talking politics and what's best for society and how to organize a civilization, nobody is arguing that it should happen like that it should be in an instant. That wasn't a good snap. I got to snap with my right hand. Nobody's arguing that it is an instant thing. It's always going to be a gradual, incremental changes. To 10x what Doge did, who knows what sort of havoc that would reach. Look at the craziness that it caused just for allegedly maybe 175 billion. According to Politico and NPR, 2 billion. Bullshit, by the way. But 10xing it, we could have, but I don't think that would have been good. It's got to be gradual. And this is, I argue about this with I remember when Trump was running and he said he wasn't going to do a federal abortion ban, but he overturned Roe v. Wade. And I saw the abolitionists, which I also would consider myself an abolitionist of abortion. I don't like that. I don't like using that word because it feels like we're trying to tug on the heartstrings of people and relate it to slavery. Anyway, but yeah, I think abortion should be totally gone. And if a woman does it, whether it be pills that she gets in the mail or whatever she does, she should go to jail. Pro-lifers won't argue that. Pro-lifers are like, well, the mothers, they've been through tough things and they just don't understand. And we don't go after the mother. We go after the government and the doctors. And shut up. If a woman knowingly kills her child, she should go to jail for murder. Right? Abolitionist. But when Russell from Abolitionist Rising was saying, I will not vote for Trump, he did a campaign against Trump. I was like, what are you doing, dude? This is not the way. I will show you the way. Okay? We're playing a game of chess. You don't get to just take your freaking queen, the first move of the game, and take the king. You have to play the game. You have to move the pieces upfield. You have to develop. You can't just first move of the game, I'm white. Queen takes king. I win. That's not the way the game works. We're not 3-year-olds. You have to move the goalpost. You have to do it gradually and slowly. The guy that gets Roe v. Wade overturned is better than the person who's okay with 9 months abortions. It's the same thing with Doge. It's the same thing. And that's incrementalism. So Scott should agree with that. But I don't even know what I'm ranting about right now, guys. I'm on one.
And Donald, and it had been working insofar as that it was finding, fraud, waste, and abuse. And then Donald Trump, with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, at least in the very beginning.
And big balls.
Right. And big balls. Don't forget big balls, boys. Renamed it and then brought a media attention to it. But many of the things that Doge was finding were things that were found under the Biden administration. Most of the things were found after it was beefed up. Right. They weren't. You're correct.
Right. Which is like
there were some cuts made under Obama and Biden, but there was significantly more under Trump.
Right.
And Elon.
Auntie, I hate to break it to you, but when this year ends, January 1st is just going to be another day. Nothing's going to change. It's just going to be another day. So you should not think that way. Get out of that state of mind. I'm not like a laws of attraction guy, but you know, you reap what you sow. Like, if you think negatively and you say, man, I hate this year sucks, then if you're thinking negatively about things, negativity is what you're going to get. Oh, you don't like the holidays? A lot of people don't like the holidays. Holiday haters. You got to think positively. Instead of saying, I'm so ready for this year to be over, say, I can't wait for next year to begin. You got to you got to flip a switch in your brain.
Boiling this all back down to the prompt, don't you find that at least in spirit, what Trump is trying to do here is reduce government spending, which is, I mean, in whatever industry like it is, it's considered when you buy when Sesame Street in Iran.
You can't I agree that Donald Trump has found ways to cut fraud, waste, and abuse. Right in his first administration, he had stated that he was not going to sign any new regulations without cutting regulations, and held up to that promise fairly well. And of course, Doge, moving USAID. But the problem is that
now my vocal ended up.
Somebody asked me in my comments, they're like, what is that picture on the wall behind them? Is that some woman dressed like Michael Jackson? I don't know what it is. Okay. That's the answer to that question.
Learning from this.
Oh, you guys want to hear the hold on, let me see something. Let me see if it's in my Suno on my computer. It's a Suno 5 preview. The fuck is Marika? It's Suno 5 preview, but I enter my phone number. Okay, cool. So it's a Suno 5 preview, which I don't have Suno 5, but what I did is I just recorded it and I'm going to put it in the Juicy video. Hopefully. Oh, it says upgrade for full song. Where is it? This is the Juicy. This is the end of the Juicy reaction stream. This is the song.
Streets humming, baseline dripping venom, Cuban link swinging like a pendulum, no denim. Palm trees sway in the heat, they glisten. 808 stops, make the block start listening. Miami nights, where the shadows creep, where the goons ride deep. No promises to keep, in the loops and the beats, where the secrets sleep. Miami nights, echoes of the streets. Neon glow, in the dark it's a beacon. Heat rise steady, sweat drops post weekend. Corner shoppers whispers, danger peeking. Hustle speaks loud, but silence is preaching. Through the loop it repeats, eternal motion. Waves crash.
That's so funny. I put Miami goon rap beat looped, no lyrics. And that's what it gave me. I didn't even want lyrics. What's this one sound like?
Yeah. Streets humming, baseline dripping venom. Cuban link swinging like a pendulum, no denim. Palm trees sway in the heat, they glisten. 808 stops, make the block start listening. Miami nights where the shadows creep, where the goons ride deep, no promises to keep. In the loops, in the beats, where the secrets sleep. Miami nights, echoes of the streets. Neon glow in the dark, it's a beacon. Heat rise, steady sweat drops post weekend. Corner sharp, it's whispers, danger peeking. Hustle speaks loud, but silence is preaching. Through the loop, it repeats eternal motion. Waves crash heavy, beats like an ocean. No end, no start, the city's devotion. The goon's paradise in this endless commotion. Miami nights where the shadows creep, where the goons ride deep, no promises to keep. In the loops, I keep my goals.
That's the Suno 5 preview. I don't have Suno 5, but I don't need a full song. It's just like a closing little last 30-second thing. I didn't even want lyrics. I just wanted a beat. And that's what it gave me. Dang AI.
Is fine, but if it's less than the increase that we have to pay because of the ever increasing debt, then it's not drops in the bucket. It's actually meaningless. And I genuinely, you had said, well, I don't think it's meaningless if we cut 30 billion here or that. I do. I think it's meaningless when we are, $37 trillion in debt and approaching more. And then the biggest piece of legislation that is to be this hailed as his shining achievement of a omnibus bill is increasing the debt ceiling. Because at the end of the day,
grant that though.
Yeah, at the end of the day, let me just finish. It's taxation is going to be based off of government spending, right? Like it doesn't matter who you tax, the tax is coming from somewhere. Be it, if we don't pull in enough revenue, then the tax will be in the form of inflation, right? And so we have this.
Well, is there anything we can do that's anti-socialist then? Because like the big beautiful bill.
I didn't say that the cutting the spending wasn't anti-socialist in some regard. I'm saying when you look at it in the totality of his administration, that it becomes meaningless if he doesn't oh cool, I'm doing some spending cuts.
To be fair, just
what you have is efficient inflation.
Right. Well,
more.
I would say
you know what I mean. Like that's
even if, and maybe I have to separate these as two independent events, but just as a matter of number principle, if you save $20 going out to eat. You're trying to budget at home, you're, saving that money. And then you go out and you buy an iPod, right? Like you went out and you bought a $200 iPod. Just shout out 2008 for some reason.
Hey, in the back. Hey, in the back.
Shh. Oh, they're fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
It wasn't. All right, anyways.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you the bomb.
It's still you still saved that $20. You're in a better position than when you would if you had bought the iPod and spent the $20.
No,
I'm not saying this. I'm saying
it's I saved $20 and then I spent $200 on a new iPad. I didn't
Right, but what I'm saying is those are two independent events that.
I'm trying to think if he was yelling at me there. Actually, this is when Andrew walked in and I was maybe not. No, because he walked in during the Fabian Liberty debate. And I was like, yeah. He was just saying, A in the back, because that's when Andrew and that crowd arrived and they walked into the room. And they kind of snuck in quietly. Like Andrew, Jim Bob, Rob, they all showed up at the same time. And by this point, I'm sitting alone on my own row because there's only 4 or 5 people in the chairs watching the debate. Everybody else is downstairs hanging out. There was probably at the peak maybe 30 to 50 people there. Anyway, so they all just arrived but up in the debate room at this point, everybody's hanging out downstairs. And I'm sitting listening to the debate by myself, and random person sits next to me, and he's like, "Hey, who's winning the debate?" And I looked, and I was like, I said, "I don't know, but this Fabian Liberty guy's a libertarian. Fuck him." and because I hadn't been watching the whole debate, so I didn't really know how it was going. I had just walked in, and he sat down next to me, and then he says, "Hey, who's winning this debate?" I was like, "I don't know, but this Fabian Liberty guy is a libertarian, so fuck this guy." And then I looked, and I was like, "Oh shit, Andrew!" And I like shook his hand, and I was like, "What's up?" And then they all start going in the back, and everybody's talking, and there's a commotion, and I think that's what he's calling out.
You still saved $20. And I'm not saying that this is good, that I support the iPod buying. Obviously, that's also irresponsible, and that's overspending, and that's not within your budget, obviously.
Look at Gibbs shotgunning a beer.
Right. But I'm just saying, like
you can't just chill on a beer. He shotgunned every beer he drank. Like, well, you can't just sip on a beer? Damn, bruh. We got liquor. They drank I bought a bottle of Jameson and a big old like an 18 pack of Natties. And me and Wally had our debate, and the plan was we're doing a prohibition debate. We're going to start with a shot. So I poured shots for all three of us, and we took a shot and we did the debate. And then after the debate, I put my bottle in the cooler. Then I came up and I watched a couple debates, went back downstairs. My damn bottle of Jameson was empty, and they put it back in the cooler. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with people? Okay, it's one thing, I left it here. I don't mind that everybody drank off of it and it's gone. You don't put it back in the cooler when it's empty. Like, what, you trying to disguise it? Like, oh man, I thought, I must have drank more than I thought. I took like 3 shots and it was gone. And they put it back in the cooler empty. Ridiculous. Who's raising these animals?
Like, it is objectively better than doing both.
It's like when a girl goes out and she was like, "Hey, it was on sale for 50% off," and then it's like, "So I saved $20." No, you didn't.
Well, I
spent 20.
I gotta be honest. That's not even girl math. That's what we call druggy math. It's like, hey, if I spend this on this fucking meth,
well, I'm just saying, like, if you treat them as 2 independent events, like
if you isolate them from the context,
you bought the iPod
then it's
already.
isolated from the context.
Right, but let me put it this way: just reverse the order of the events. You bought the iPod already. Okay, that was a bad decision, and that was overspending.
Right.
You still shouldn't go out, and you should save that $20. You shouldn't go spend that at McDonald's.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So it's like I'm just saying, like,
but you're not saving money if you're going.
Also, Admiral Gibbs does a like a debate tournament show where it's like a season and there's tournament brackets and you move up until the finals. I haven't talked to him since DebateCon, and he was pretty cool. I liked hanging out with him. I might have to hit him up and figure out how to get on that.
Deeper into credit card debt.
In the overall, you're not saving money when you add them together the same way. But if you make them independent events, it is saving money. Your bank account after both transactions,
it's devoid of the context.
Well,
right?
I'm just saying it doesn't solve the problem of spending. We're obviously still overspending.
If you didn't spend on either, wouldn't that be not saving?
What I'm saying is you're still overspending regardless.
Let me rephrase
and especially with the iPod. I'm saying that $20 doesn't become there is a difference between doing both and only buying the iPod. Let me even though that as a percentage, the food might feel like less. It is less meaningful, especially if your goal is
he has made
overall.
some cuts, but he has also increased spending in many ways.
Okay, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's. I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily devalue the money.
I just don't. The reason I say it,
it just doesn't help us get closer to the goal.
I'm gonna let you respond, and then
A lot of people didn't like the way he moderated. He is and if you watch like Soho debates or like Reason debates, or some like high level collegiate debates, the moderator is often like an integral part of the debate, where like Soho debates. I was watching one last night, socialism versus capitalism. It's 17-minute openings from each person. Then it's 10 minutes of questions from the audience. Then it's 10 minutes of moderator stuff where the moderator like gets involved. And then it's 10-minute closings each. So it's like an hour and a half. There's no open floor. Now, I mean, that's just their method, but there are a lot of debates where the moderator is very involved in the debate. And that's just some people like that, some people don't. That's just a style of doing it. And a lot of people didn't like that Gibbs was kind of more like that moderator, where he's like the MC, the master of ceremonies, where it's like, I'm gonna throw in questions. I'm gonna get involved. I'm gonna kind of push back against you. I'm gonna push back against you. I'm gonna, people didn't like that. A lot of people didn't like that, but I think that's just because the people that don't like it are used to YouTube internet debates where, whether it be Crucible, Raging Tomato, Swords of Reason, whatever these shows are, where it's typically, here's the format, openings, then open floor. And the moderator in that situation should not have to step in. Like, if the debaters are good, the moderator doesn't do anything. He just sits there and listens, which I've heard some people say, oh, he's just like a clock watcher. Well, true, but a lot of people prefer that on internet debates, at least. But when you're at these like in-person debates and you're in the crowd, I think it helps to have a more interactive moderator, or a moderator that's like getting involved in things. And but people watching on the internet, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I didn't like Gibbs moderating." When me and Wally debated and he was moderating, a couple times I was like, "Stop talking. I'm in the middle of a thought here. Let me go." But also, it helps relax people, and it helps it become more of a, I don't know. It seemed more like a friendly conversation amongst the boys. I don't know if that's good or that's bad. It depends on what you like, but I don't know. I'm just saying, you decide for yourself. It's an opinion thing. It's a preference thing. But I thought Gibbs was cool. But he did kind of, there'd be like a heated back and forth going on, and he'd like interject like he's doing right now. And a lot of people didn't like that. But maybe it's to stop the, we're just going, blah, 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 blah. Okay, hold on. Let me ask something here. Maybe that's what he was trying to do. I don't know. But I hung out with him. He's pretty chill.
I do want to reframe it a little bit.
This guy, he's got more.
My argument.
I know
my argument.
Talk more, but I'm reframing it. Here, go ahead.
My argument is this: is that I believe, right, that Trump is shifting his socialist policies based off of the values that he holds, and some of the values, like,
I think the biggest thing from DebateCon is that everybody that I met at DebateCon, no offense to the chatters, but I have a different level of respect for you when I've met you face to face. There's something about a disconnect on the internet where, like, I'm going to piss my audience off. But y'all know I do that all the time, so it's nothing new. But if I've never met you, I've never seen you face to face, there's like a disconnect. Now, there's people that King, Jeremy, Easy, Goon, the people that I talk to for hours and hours and hours on Discord, and I watch, like Easy, I watch for hours and hours while I'm working, and I go up on the VKs, and then like Goon and King and Jeremy, the guys that, and Brandon and Elder Lion, and I'm not trying to like drop names, so if I don't say your name, James, well, I'm talking about people I haven't met, but there's a certain level where it's above that. Even Auntie, I talk to Auntie all the time. We have combos. I know I don't respond to your messages as quick as you'd like, but anyway, Auntie, we have, it's nothing weird, guys. It's nothing weird. Don't get your mind out of the gutter, but and Chuck, yeah, people that, okay, I hate you too. Chuck too, and I play chess with Chuck, but there's still like a disconnect. But once I've like met you face to face, even if I don't talk to you that much, it's like I know you're real. I know it's a real person. I don't know if Chuck's really a real person. I'm just kidding. Chuck sent me a GoPro. Chuck's awesome. You can't hurt my feelings. I don't have any. I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. But you know what I'm saying. Like there's something different between, okay, so it's like 3 levels. It's like just chatters. Like, no offense, if it all fails, that's Matthew, right? I don't know. If it all fails. That's Matthew, or a different Matthew? Because don't you have like a big subscriber base? Oh, no, that's Matthew. Okay, yeah. I know you. Okay, so you're on like level 2, Matthew. So level 1 is just the chatters who are in the chat, and I appreciate them. I love you guys. But I've never heard their voice. I've never seen their face. Then there's level 2, which is where I've seen your face. We've had private conversations. I've heard your voice. You're in the Discord. You've cammed up, or maybe you haven't cammed up and came in the Discord, but you've reached out to me through other social medias, and I know what you look like. All these things. That's like level 2. But level 3 is when you meet somebody face to face. And so, like, these 3 guys jumped ahead of the people I've been talking to for years just because I've met them. It's weird. I know what you mean. Even having gotten married through meeting online, I still have a hard time connecting with people until I've met them. Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole different level. And this is why, like, this internet stuff and social media and stuff, it seems good. It seems like we're able to reach out to people that we never would have talked to otherwise in Japan and other countries and around the world and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but are you ever going to meet them? Are you ever going to shake their hand? Like, I think I don't think it's as beneficial as we think it is to just be able to talk to, like, and dead internet theory. And then this ties into like dead internet theory. Like, how long before I'm just talking to robots and I don't even know anymore whether they're real or fake? Like, there's people that come in the chat and just say random off the wall shit, like Dean. I know Dean's real because he sent me peppers and a hot chip, and we've been on cam before, and we've done the hot chip challenge. But sometimes some people come in chat and just say some off the wall stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know if that's like a real person. Is there like even a person behind that? You know? You call me a 6? Hell no. Maryland. Online, when I'm on stream, you're a 6. Maybe if I meet you in person, you might upgrade to a 7. You know? Maybe I'll whisper in your ear, you can be a 7 today. You play your cards right, I'll call you an 8. I'll call you an 8. That doesn't mean that it's true. He's definitely a 5. Well, personality, tends to drag it down,
USAID or, too much money in Medicare reimbursements to states for illegal immigrants and things like that are absolutely against his values. And those socialist policies he's curtailing. But at the end of the day, if he's increasing taxes and he's increasing spending and he's increasing the debt limit, then he's just shifted it towards his form of socialism. That doesn't make it less socialist.
So I guess this is the question I want you to answer, all right, specifically, because I think his point's pretty clear. Okay. But I think there's a question that you should answer that he needs to answer.
His point's not clear. He's using a proprietary definition of socialism, and his only argument is the tariffs. It's not clear.
Well, but it's that okay. The topic of this debate is he's the most socialist president of our lifetime. And let's just go. How old are you?
29.
I don't know when was he alive when Clinton was president?
Yes.
Okay, so
at the very end.
Yeah. So let's go back to Clinton. Clinton in. Okay.
My first memory was 9/11.
Bush, like barely.
How old are you?
35.
Oh, okay, yeah. So technically, I'm alive with Bush Senior too. Okay, cool. Yeah. I thought we were the same age almost. Anyway, not important. We were having a moment there, chat. Anyway, here's the question.
Bonding.
So let's just go to fucking Bush Senior then, so it'll include both of you. I don't care, and me, because that's 2 out of 3.
I only went back to Clinton.
We're fine. We can go back. We can agree to Clinton.
92.
Let me ask. No, hold on. Here's the question.
I have a better question.
Well, no, this is the important question.
It's going to be a better chat. Remember,
y'all can vote on the question.
Remember, chat. It's going to be a better question.
The question is this. All right, the debate right now.
How old am I? 38? I think I'm 38. Dude, as you start getting close to 40, you start like subtracting years. Because I can't. It's funny when you're like 33, 34, 35, you know your age. When you're like 37, 38, 39, you start forgetting conveniently. And then people are like, oh, well, there's no big difference. I'm 35. I know I'm 35. Why can't you remember your age? You're 38. And it's like, well, once you start getting a little closer to 40, you might start forgetting yourself. Because I think I'm pretty sure I'm 38. But I remember when I was 37, I was like, well, yeah, I'm 38. I'm solid on that.
Now is the most socialist president of our lifetime. Fabian has pretty much laid out why Trump is a socialist. And I think that by Fabian's definition, you can't even argue that he's not. Now, here's my question to you.
I've presented 4 or 5 things that make him anti-social.
Yeah, where did that come from? Wait, I need to hear that again. What are you talking about? You can't say anything that he's not?
The most socialist president of our lifetime. Fabian has pretty much laid out why Trump is a socialist. And
tariffs. That's it. Every other argument he gave could be easily debunked. Unfortunately, Pentuple did not have a lot of preparation time, so he didn't. Every one of his arguments, I would have just shut it down. And the only problem is the tariffs. And I'm going to have to look more into this and come up with a good argument. But even if you concede the tariffs, you still have a lot more evidence that Obama is, because all those things he said in his opening, none of those are socialist. Except for maybe the tariffs. So, and then Pentuple's pointing to Obama, who's blatantly socialist.
I think that by Fabian's definition, you can't even argue that he's not. Now, here's my question to you.
I've presented 4 or 5 things that make him anti-socialist.
Sure,
so we're engaging on the topic.
Yeah, that's not the question.
This guy.
Right.
Okay, so he said by Scott's definition, you can't argue he's not. But by Pentuple's definition, Fabian already conceded the whole debate. So, because he said it in the beginning. He said, if we're going off that definition of socialism, then Trump is not a socialist. The definition that Pentuple gave is the dictionary definition, the accepted definition of what socialist is. The definition Scott gave Fabian Liberty is a proprietary definition that he essentially made up. So, really, I say Pentuple's winning this. You just gotta, and again, I'm giving him all the grace because he didn't have a lot of prep time for this. I'm sure if he had prep time, he's an attorney. I'm sure each thing in Scott's opening, he would have picked it apart and said, that's not socialism. That's capitalism. That's not socialism. That's capitalism. That's not socialism. That's crony capitalism. That's not socialism. That's capitalism. Like, except for the tariffs is where it comes down to the back and forth. But based off of the real definition of socialism, Scott already conceded the debate. This is where Pentuple needs to hone in on the definition. That's why I wrote it in big letters and I circled it. Definition. Settle on the definition. The first, and this is going to become a semantics debate, is what do you mean by socialist? Because interaction with businesses, government interacting with businesses is not what socialist means. So, yeah, I would just not accept his definition. And then he already conceded the debate. He already said, well, if we're going off of your definition of socialism, aka the real definition of socialism, then I lose the debate. It's over. He already conceded that. So, but what Gibbs is asking is, from his definition, you can't even argue against Trump being a socialist. And Pentuple says, no, I've given a bunch of, Pentuple is accepting his definition and arguing against it. And he's doing well. I don't know. But the problem is he just didn't have enough prep time to go through each point in his opening.
This guy. You want to turn against him, bro? This is just trust the moderator. Trust the moderator here. The question I want you to answer is, one, it's 2-part. Who is the most socialist president in our lifetime? Going back to
Obama.
I'd say Obama.
Okay, you say Obama. And 2, how is Trump, and this is for both of y'all, but I'll let you go first. How is Trump either more or less socialist than Obama? You go first.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if the Affordable Care Act is the most socialist legislation,
that's what they've been talking about the whole time.
And Trump is rallied against it. I know he gets flack for not having presented his replacement, but he's not a legislator.
He has the concept of a plan.
Well,
brother.
right, but he's the executive branch. Isn't it fair to say, like, look, I ran for president. I want the ACA replaced. The legislature should legislate. Like he's saying, I'm elected.
What do you mean he hasn't given forth a replacement? We just get rid of it and go back to what we had before. What do you mean suggest a replacement? It is the replacement. We're getting rid of the replacement. We're going back.
ran on this. I want the AC.
Also, I'm not good at all the lingo when it comes to like healthcare, mortgages. This is where I am on the back foot in this debate because I'm not up on all the lingo. I don't know all the lingo of mortgages and tax rates and blah 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 and healthcare. I don't believe in any of that crap. The day I get a house will be the day that I have enough money to buy a house. Straight up. I don't believe in credit cards. I don't believe in, probably because I fucked my credit up when I was like young. And then again, 7 years later, the year of Jubilee, when they fixed my credit, then I fucked it up again. And then 7 years later, the year of Jubilee, when they fixed my credit and I fucked it up again. So now I've got to the point where like, I just don't believe in credit anymore. I don't believe in debt. I don't believe in insurance. I don't believe in none of that. No. So I don't know a lot about, the day I can afford a house, I'll just buy a house. As far as medical insurance goes, I don't even know what that looks like. Like, what are you talking about? Affordable Care Act. All I know is I got less back on my tax return because I didn't get health insurance. They told me I had to have health insurance or I'm getting money taken out of my tax return. And sure enough, they did. Actually, well, I'm not going to say that on the stream, but never mind. But let's just say they were supposed to take money out of my tax return because I didn't have health insurance. I haven't had health insurance since when do you fall off your parents' health insurance? At 23? I left home at 23. I left home at like 17 and then I came back and then I left and then I came back and then I left and then I went to jail and then I came back and then I left and I went to jail and I came back. So, but I really, really left the state at 23. And I haven't had I haven't had any health insurance in 15 years. Yeah. I don't even know. You don't need health insurance if you don't go to the doctor. Stop being a bitch. That's what I got to say about that.
ACA replaced. I want a replacement plan. I still don't think that means that the legislature, whose job it is to do, like, should he give the legislature their work? Should he do the work for them because he ran on it and said that he wants it the most? I would say, even though he's ran on it, it's still their burden to ultimately get that job done, because Trump could come up with the perfect replacement. He's
also, for an anarcho-capitalist, why we talk about, well, never mind. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, I don't believe in insurance. What you insuring me for? A future that we don't even know exists? A meteor might hit Earth tomorrow. You got meteor insurance? You got the sun could explode in 12 minutes insurance? How do I get the sun might explode in 12 minutes insurance? And how much do I have to pay for it to keep me safe? Oh, nothing? Oh, we'll all be dead and wiped out? So I ain't paying for it. But I bet you could probably sell some dumbass on that insurance. Oh, you might. We sell in case the sun explodes insurance. Just invest $1,200 every month and we'll make sure in case the sun explodes, you'll be all right. What kind of idiot would pay for that? No. I'm going to pay insurance in case something happens. No. Not doing it. Nothing's going to happen ever.
he's going to take it to all of these senators and get all their changes and stuff. This is their job. That's what the legislators do. So while he hasn't come up with a replacement, I don't know that it's necessarily his burden. And I would say, where are the Republicans in Congress? Did you not see what all of us just voted for?
You're not disabled, Auntie. You're abled. Disability is a lie. You're abled. You are an able-bodied young lady. Okay? The more you believe that you're disabled and you say that you're disabled, you speak it into existence. You're not disabled. You're abled. Don't say that. I don't believe in that. You're fucked up, Marilyn. 1.5 foot of my gut has already been removed. Well, you didn't eat it anyway. That's part of the plan. Now you got short gut. Now you I say now you poop extra quick. But I don't digest B vitamins. What the hell's a B vitamin? What are you talking about? A B vitamin? I don't even know what a vitamin is. What that mean? I don't digest B vitamins. B vitamins aren't even real.
You guys have the burden to create the replacement. They haven't done it. And the Republicans in Congress, I think it would be more easier to argue, are very socialist if we want to make a lot of those arguments. But the ACA being the most socialist legislation.
I'm not selling snake oil. I'm telling you not to buy the snake oil. You bought into the snake oil with your glasses, Matthew. You wearing glasses is you buying the snake oil. I say you don't need glasses. Sometimes the world is just blurry. For some people, the world is just blurry. And that's the way that you see it. And that's perfect. You don't need glasses. You bought the snake oil. I don't sell snake oil. I reject the snake oil.
In my life, and Trump rallying against that. I think in spirit, Trump is the anti-socialist candidate. He's the anti-socialist president of my lifetime. And that's why I gave out, these different examples. Like we went through the Department of Education, USAID, electric vehicle subsidies. And here's another one that maybe we can just kind of dive into for a second, but he wanted to give veterans access to private health care using the funds that are put aside for the VA. Mm-hmm. So that feels very anti-socialist in principle to say, hey, head out into the private market. We're giving you your benefit.
You know what gives me energy, Auntie? Being awesome. A vitamin. Awesome vitamins.
I don't think it's necessarily inherently socialist to give benefits to the veterans, right? I support it, at least, even if it is. But that seems like an anti-socialist approach to say, hey, the government's not handling that industry very well. They're not providing the best healthcare to veterans. Take those dollars to the private market. Seems a little bit more like capitalist-minded for a president.
Yeah, so let's go through all these things. Hold on. So I would say that...
You hear all the background noise? Yeah, they showed up. That's avarice yelling. Downstairs, just yelling. I remember I was sitting up there and somebody's just yelling. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? That was avarice.
That Trump is the most socialist, obviously. I'm defending the position.
Right.
I don't disagree that Obama is probably to toss up between Bush and Obama for second place.
What has Trump done as big as the ACA? Do we even agree that the ACA is like, let's not say it's the most socialist, it's extremely socialist. We'll just say it is
without a doubt a socialist program.
Intrudes on the healthcare industry.
So if I say you got dookie breath, you need a mint, you'd be like, don't buy the snake oil. Yeah, I'll be like, bitch, that's my fragrance. You better learn to love it.
dramatically.
It intrudes on the
affects
healthcare
the
industry.
prices and
It
premiums
affects
of
pricing.
all
Yes,
of that
yes,
for
yes,
everybody.
yes.
Okay.
It's an individual mandate that the Supreme Court tried to then rule was a tax, so then it's okay, which is a loophole, I think, to circumnavigate people's constitutional rights. Yes, it is an expansion of power into the healthcare industry, without a doubt. I mean, Bush, had some Medicare, Medicaid programs. I don't think Clinton had any major stuff in that regard, but maybe I'm just misremembering. I was a baby. But yeah, I would still say that Trump is the most socialist. Moving to the ACA, the problem that I have with this is like, Obama wanted a more socialist version of the
moving into the ACA. That's been his whole argument the entire time.
The ACA, but we're not having. Are we having that? Hold on.
Sure.
Are we or are we not having that conversation based upon the results, right? And if the results was also that he just signed it, right? So like it was the legislation that made the ACA, right? But it was, but also it was.
But it's also kind of his prize accomplishment.
Right. It was
like Obama's
he was also
thing.
pushing it, right?
And like to zoom in when it passed, and he's like,
right. But I mean, what I'm saying is that like it is absolutely true that the executive branch doesn't write legislation, but at the same time, the executive, the president,
well, he pushed the idea. He pushed
it,
that,
right?
I did the legislature, right? ACA. Obama didn't give it to him. They wrote it, right? He ran on it. He wanted the Affordable Care Act.
But that's what I mean is that like there's obviously, some level of, the president being the face of the party and then working with Congress and the Senate, to whip other Republicans or people into their major legislation, much the same way with the Big Beautiful Bill, right? The Big Beautiful Bill is not Trump's bill by
but I would say it's similar to the ACA in that it's his,
right? Like it is. My issue with it is that
it would have passed with Kamala.
Right.
It would have even been through the Senate.
The thing is that Trump and many Republicans absolutely ran against the ACA. That was a big part of their platform.
And where's the replacement?
And then when they had the power, they did nothing.
I agree. I agree with you.
Hold on. But here's the thing is that Trump was not on Truth Social and Twitter screaming at the Republicans, every single one of them that refuses to do something about the ACA, not the same way he is against Thomas Massey and Rand Paul every time they stand up for capitalism. Every time they stand up for free markets and capitalism, there's 20 tweets on Trump's toilet being like, you're an evil piece of shit. You're the worst thing ever. How dare you? All you do is side with the Democrats, even though Massey votes with Republicans 91% of the time.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, sure, we can say, it's the legislator's responsibility, but if Trump's not doing shit to push it, then how against it is he really?
For the purposes of our conversation, I just want to make a clarification for our prompt. We're talking about the most socialist president. We're talking about
it's a hard thing.
Well, are we talking about in effect or in intent? Like, do you think Trump is intending to be socialist, or do you think he's effectively socialist?
I think he is intending to be his form of socialist, and I think the combination of his intention and sometimes his.
How are you going to ascribe intent? Why wouldn't? Oh my God.
His inability. His. How do I say this?
Lack of nuance.
His incompetency in certain regard leads to it as well.
Okay, so actually,
I would say I think both matter.
To say Donald Trump is incompetent at running shit is an incompetent statement.
But I think intention probably matters less.
Do you think a socialist economist, like a leftist socialist economist, would be like, I actually like Trump on economics?
I don't think that they would like him, but like under no recent president, right?
That's a good question. Where are all the socialists cheering on Trump right now? Now, going into this debate, I'm sure he's going to bring up, I'm actually going to write this down. I bet you he's going to bring up Zoran Mamdani and the freaking handshake. And dude, if you watch Trump, like I watch Trump, anybody who's running, if there's a he plays the game. He plays the game, and he plays it better than anybody else. When you're running, when you're on the campaign trail, he's going to dog you if he doesn't want you to win. He's going to dog on you. He dogged on DeSantis. He dogged on Hillary. He dogged on Mamdani. He dogs on him. He says, he's a communist. Don't vote for him. Wow. I don't like this guy. Wow. What do you call dissent? Anyway, the point is, he dogs on people on the campaign trail because he's playing the game. It's the same way if you call me out for a debate. This happened with Mosman once a long time ago. We were supposed to debate. Well, we've debated twice, but leading up to the debate, I was talking a little shit, you know? I was like, oh, this is gonna be, I'm gonna body him. Oh, he doesn't know, he's just an anarchist, blah, 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 blah. And Mosman messaged me, he's like, yo, why you're talking crap about me and blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, I'm hyping the show. I'm promoting. Like, there's no hard feelings when I have somebody challenges to me to a debate, and we have a debate coming up. Yeah, I'm gonna talk my shit. I'm gonna hype the show. I'm trying to make a show out of this. It's like promotion. So he's a sensitive fella, but I was like, no, it's no hard feeling. And then guess what? Soon as the debate's over, we're friends again. And it's like, okay, let's figure this out. You know, let's talk about it. Let's just have a conversation. Let's hang out. But you challenge me to a debate, then in the lead up to the debate and during the debate, I'm coming to win. I'm not coming to be your friend. I'm coming to destroy you. And the promotion leading up to it is the preemptive destruction. And then once the debate starts, that's the destruction. After the debate, it's like, let's clean up. Let's clean up. Let's shake hands and let's be friends again. It's the same way with how young guys will fight. You know, you're like drinking at the bar and you get in an argument and it's like, yo, you want to fight? As soon as you throw hands a little bit, it's like, I'm tired, dude. I'm too old for this. Like, okay, let's go hang out. Let's buy another drink. And then you're best friends after that. That's the game. So if he brings up Mamdani in the handshake, like, well, he seemed awfully friendly with Mamdani, who's a socialist, after Mamdani won. What about before Mamdani won? And we don't know. Also, in the public eye, in the lead up to Mamdani winning, Trump is going at him. He's going at him. He's like, don't vote for this guy. He's a communist. We don't want him to win. We don't want him to take New York. Trump didn't want him to win. Totally fine. Trump called him out. Trump talked his shit. He won. So at that point, now it's time to shake hands and let's do business. We got to figure this out. It's not like the whole argument that Pep Talks was making the other night about, like, what was he supposed to do? What, they're supposed to fight in the Oval Office? What do you think's going to happen? Of course, he's going to shake his hand and be amicable with him. Like, what do you think's gonna happen? A D-back. Trump was backing Cuomo? Yeah. Well, Cuomo, I think, would have been a better choice than Mamdani. I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see. I think Mamdani's gonna be a lame duck. I don't think he's gonna get anything done that he promised that he was gonna get done. I think that was all just a ploy to get votes. Promise people free shit, and they're going to vote for you. But I don't think Mamdani's going to do much of anything. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I'm usually not.
Right? Have we had...
Well, with pro-socialists,
we never had change we can believe in communism.
Well, hold on.
We never had communists supporting Biden. We absolutely had communists trying to grift off of the change in the socialist policies that Trump did to try and mash them together to be like, see, you're not that different than us. Support MAGA communism.
Oh, hold on.
Right? Like, I think that there is some more socialist, more pro-family, more.
At this point, I'm in the audience losing my mind because he keeps talking about right-wing communism and MAGA communism. Those, it's like ANCAP and ANCOM. Well, no, it's not like ANCAP and ANCOM. It's like COMCAP. I'm a communist capitalist. And this was my question. I was like, you could be, at first, when I heard anarcho-communist, I was like, that's an oxymoron. That doesn't make sense. When I got deeper into politics and I learned more about it, I was like, no, actually, it doesn't. It's not an oxymoron. Because anarchy and authoritarianism is on a different, what's the word? Axis. Then that's the politics is the authority versus the anarchy. But there's also the economic scale, the economic axis, which is related to politics. Politics and economics go hand in hand. So you could be an anarchist capitalist, or an anarchist communist, or an anarchist primitivist, but you can't be a capitalist communist. That doesn't make any sense. That is an actual oxymoron. I've never heard anybody say I'm a Capcom other than the video game creator. Capcom does not mean capitalist communist. It's a video game. They make Resident Evil. There's no Capcoms or Comcaps. Comcap sounds like a cable network, and Capcom is a video game creator. There's no Capcoms or Comcaps. That's an oxymoron. That'd be like saying I'm an anarchist authoritarian. Saying right-wing communism is like saying authoritarian libertarianism. Those are contradictory. The economic scale with the authority scale, the political scale, they can, you could be an anarcho-capitalist. I get it. You could be an authoritarian communist or an authoritarian capitalist. Both are viable. Both are worldviews that, they don't contradict each other. But a capitalist communist doesn't make any sense. It's an oxymoron. So he keeps talking about right-wing communism. Right-wing is the economic right. North and South, unless we're looking at a 2D political spectrum, which is lowbrow, it's like, I don't even have time for these people. Like, come on, let's expand. I'm trying to look at a 3D political compass. You're looking at a 1D. You want to see 1D? Pause.
Protecting industry more there is something there. So maybe it's a recent cultural upswing. I don't know, but I do think that you have had some socialists enjoy some of his policies.
Let me ask you this, because I think that
everything he's talking about is crony capitalism. It's not socialism. It's crony capitalism.
Let me try to ask what I think you're getting at, because I think this is a good question. I've been kind of wondering a little bit. Okay, so the prompt is who the most socialist president of our lifetime, right? So when I think Obama, I think all the things he's mentioned. I also think of things like cash for clunkers. I think of all the ads.
That was a failure.
Well, arguably that's his most successful policy. And now, I mean, you and I are on the same side of the socialism issue, but like that arguably people argue that's supposed. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is though. So when I'm looking at Obama, extremely socialist, right, in my mind, right, and then you're saying,
what do you say?
Listen,
Maryland, that's not deep. Saying true communism has never been practiced. That's not deep. You're not saying anything. That's a useless platitude. It means nothing. True Christianity has never been practiced. True capitalism has never been practiced. What do you mean true? That doesn't mean anything. What you mean to say is perfect communism has never been practiced. That's because there's no such thing.
What would you say, moderator?
Don't worry about it. Side with me, moderator.
And there's no such thing as perfect capitalism. True capitalism has never been practiced. Thanks for just saying words. Thanks for just breathing nothingness into the space. Taking up oxygen for no reason. True capitalism has never been practiced. It's an ideology. What do you mean true? That doesn't mean anything.
I see you. I see you, sir.
It was extremely socialist. But however, I think that you made a good point with the right-wing socialism. You can expand the government, and then he's done.
No,
like
he didn't
Doge,
make a good point with
if
that.
a Democrat takes over, and they use the government agency he's created, that would be expansion of government. As a Texan,
would be fair, it was Obama.
Sure,
Obama created it.
Sure. But as a Texan, I'm sympathetic to many of these views that you're saying. I've had issues with the pentuple, and I've told them that. I've had issues with your take. Here's my question, though. In my mind, you know what? I will just fucking say it because I think it'll make this more interesting. There's no way in my mind that. What the fuck is happening?
Is a clown car driving by?
The
free in Nashville.
That's avarice yelling outside.
Wild boys. Why are you not here?
Trains. We got an orgy outside. It's crazy stuff. Anyway, back to what I was asking. So I guess in my mind, as the moderator, and this may be a little biased, but I've been pressing pentuple mostly, so I'm impressing you now. I see Obama as maybe the most socialist, like in history.
No way.
Like even
That's
more
crazy
than FDR,
talk.
right? But however, I do see the argument for the right-wing socialists because there's concerning things Trump does. How do you argue that now at this stage? Like the only argument in my mind that I'm seeing for what you're saying is the big beautiful bill, which I think is a substantial argument, and then the argument of creation of agencies that I know he didn't technically create Doge, out of something new, but he's created.
That wasn't my argument. That's just one you've heard before.
Sure, but the argument is that he's more socialist than Obama.
Yeah,
and when I compare the two as a conservative, I feel like if that's a hard comparison. Sell me on why he's more socialist to Obama, knowing that I'm sympathetic to a lot of your economic views.
Yeah. So let's first go through some of the most socialist policies of Obama. Okay. Right, you mentioned cash for clunkers. I think the the emissions regulations, right, is another huge one that radically changed the car industry. That's why many of the reason you see these giant trucks is so that they can get enough mass to meet emissions regulations. The ACA being another big one. I would say the weaponization of the IRS to attack conservative organizations, and specifically use the IRS to audit conservative think tanks or not think tanks, activist organizations. They can get enough mass to meet emissions regulations. The ACA being another big one. I would say the weaponization of the IRS to attack conservative organizations, and specifically use the IRS to audit conservative organizations, and specifically use the IRS to audit conservative think tanks or not think tanks, activist organizations and companies.
Shameful.
There's and if you can think of a few more, throughout the debate, like I'm fine with looking at them.
Everything he did.
I like making my podcast. I don't like making.
My biggest difference here is number one, tariffs and scale is huge in terms of its impact. It may not be.
All right, this is through the lens of like GDP leaderboard, right?
Well, I wouldn't say GDP leaderboard, but I'm just saying it's a massive tax increase.
Right, sure.
It's a huge tax increase, right?
Well, it's intended to be in a way.
Yeah,
it's supposed to raise the prices so that.
I'm surprised. I can't believe this goes on this long, guys. I gotta wrap up because I don't want to oversleep for VK, even though I can't possibly win because some lame ass wants to make sure that I can never win. But I still want to be there on time. I overslept last week, and so I'm gonna get a verbal combat when it starts. Let's see who's live right now. We'll finish watching this later. I've got a lot of notes. I've got to figure out how to put this opening together. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. I need to start writing. I'll probably be working on the writing this weekend while I'm on panels, while we're hanging out. Hopefully some people get into a good back and forth and I can have some time to sit back and write something while I'm streaming. But I will be on oh shoot. I'll be on Verbal Combat tonight. What the I gotta fix my camera angle. We'll be on Verbal Combat tonight. Doesn't matter how good I do. Probably not gonna win. You'll win tonight? Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so. But we'll see. Church of the Eternal Logos is on. I have no idea who that is. Yeah, I'll probably pass. Maryland recommends a stream. It's probably not where I'm going to send us. Rob is still going. We'll go to Rob. All right. God bless you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Come to VK tonight. Vote for me and show some support, but it won't matter because even if I make it to the finals, I'll probably get kicked off right at the end. But what can you do? You met him at DebateCon? Oh, okay. Well, maybe he's cool then. But when you recommend somebody, I get worried. But maybe he's cool. Okay. My bad. I'm not throwing shade on whoever that is. I'm throwing shade on Marilyn because I can't trust her references. We'll go to Rob. Give him some chairs and some cheers. And God bless, guys. I'll see you tonight. Thank you, Abby, for the big super chat. Shout out, everybody. We out. God bless. Peace.